Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me find these toe up shades. Give me a moment. Okay. So it just showed me that I went live. Let me get these shades. Lord. Lord. What a team. Yeah, we here. Okay. I could get how do you good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening to the one that came in. Please let me know if you can hear me, see me. Please let me know if there's any difficulties with this live. Okay. Let me know, let me know, let me know, let me know. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hey, bro, let me know if you can hear me or not. Hey, bro, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Doing this live on my business page with Lizzie. I'm about to add her right now. Miss Addie. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, and look, we got volume and everything on this one. Yes, Lord.
Yes. I guess my stupid Bluetooth isn't working, but that's fine. That's fine. We're still here. Oh, hello, everybody. Hello. Here, let me get shared out.
Let me introduce real quick, y'all, for those who don't know, this is Lizzie. Lizzie has a YouTube channel as well. Lizzie is initiated in, is it in Wiccan or just paganism?
Yeah, it would be considered Wiccan. Yes.
So
Wiccan
if you have
tradition.
truth, if y'all haven't seen the last live, please check it out. You will find out she ain't no nonsense. She's just gonna give you the raw truth, and she gonna tell you just like it Ti is. And since I'm in the South, let me say it like Texas. She gonna tell you what Ti is, man. So let me tell you right now, that's what you gonna get with no exceptions. One thing that I love about her, she's her authentic self, and she stands in her truth.
I try.
I can say that about a lot of them. Everybody that's ever did a live with me, I want you to know they stand in their truth. And this is why I respect them so much, and I'm so grateful for them. So
Well, thank
for
you.
those who don't know Lizzie, if you ain't following her page, I don't know what you're doing. Hey, if Joe Biden could get away with saying that you ain't black, so I'm gonna say this: if you ain't you until you done follow Lizzie, until you done got with her, because I'm gonna tell you, honey, you go from laughing and you go into being made to think, and you go into I ain't never watched that show. You will find yourself with a lot to do. And I'm telling you, she got unique taste. And by the way, The Crow is my favorite. I'm just saying, I watched The Crow. It's my favorite.
I have been obsessed with that movie since I was 12 years old.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh God, it did. It came out when I was 12. And then my mom's dad died the same year it came out. And he was my best friend. And so my 12-year-old little mind did not know how to cope with that. So I just glommed onto that movie, and that movie helped me process everything and process death, and just it was a huge buffer for me for a really long time.
Y'all forgive me, but I'm taking these glasses off. These things
No,
is
you're fine.
cockeyed as fuck.
No.
Have y'all seen them? They like this on my face.
I think you look fine. I think you look fine, my brother. But no, I do. I love it. I've been obsessed with it. It's actually the next tattoo that I'm planning out. Well, actually, so it's in the rear view mirror of my tattoos. My next tattoo is going to be the paw prints of my familiar. Her name was Neffy. She died almost 8 years ago. And my artist and I are plotting that one next. Because I just finished this. This got finished and all shaded in.
I remember that's the one you did for your birthday. I remember.
Yeah. This is my folk magic ancestor tattoo right here. So, but it's done. Not getting any color. We decided no color. I like the black. It's itchy as hell, but that's all. That's it. It's going well. You know, it's been a really exhausting week for everybody. You know, I want to say something because obviously another school shooting happened, and I was on TikTok, and I follow Rosie O'Donnell. I actually have to thank Rosie O'Donnell because she was instrumental in me realizing my sexuality as an adult. Like, seeing an adult Rosie O'Donnell made me go, oh my God, I really am gay.
Shoot, Rosie is something else. Rosie is something else, but I love her. She's cool as fuck.
I love her, but she made a post on TikTok and she said April 20th, 1999. And that was Columbine.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been over 20 years. It'll be 25 years soon since Columbine happened. But then it got me thinking, like, it's been over 25 years that white America has had to see its own violence enacted upon itself.
Truth.
A Indigenous mother, a Black mother, has been dealing with the fact of sending her child out into the unknown all of her motherhood.
Truth.
So if you are a palm-colored person, oh yeah.
Hold on before you say anything else. Hey, Tay, can you do me a favor since you're on both of my pages? Can you share the live, Tay, for me real quick, bro?
Yeah.
Share the live for me on both of my personal pages for me, please. Please do that right for me.
Thank you. So if you're a palm-colored person like myself, hi, I really want you to take that in. That the fear and terror that we as white people are experiencing as violence continues to escalate within our own communities. This is something that Black, Brown, and Indigenous people have been dealing with their whole life.
True.
We've only gotten just a taste of it.
Here's what I really want. Due to me seeing this, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I never would have thought nobody would blame COVID for their shooting someone. So Here's the favor that I need. Stop blaming a disease that affected everybody.
Everybody.
Please don't make that your mental disorder, and then everybody's supposed to feel sorry for you and say, "Oh no, I don't." I'm personally saying, well, maybe we should shoot you the same way they got shot. Since you think we should feel bad because COVID hit you or COVID was around, so you got depressed and shot 10 people, 12 people because of COVID. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
It was not. We know it was not COVID. It was the indoctrination of white youth into full-on white supremacy. 100%.
Right,
you know,
because
no, go ahead.
How do you explain somebody's life coming up missing because you had a problem with COVID?
How do you explain him looking at a white person and saying, "I'm sorry you're having to experience this," as he then turned around and shot a person of color and killed them?
That's not
because that
work.
did happen. That did happen. He looked at a white person as he was shooting black elders in the fucking head.
Wow.
Looked at a white person and apologized. So not only did the black community lose elders 11 days ago, 12 days ago, it hasn't even been a full 2 weeks yet.
Right.
But now a handful of brown children are gone.
Right.
Gone. And it took them 90 minutes. 90 minutes. They tased and detained the parents who were trying to run in and save their children. Fuck you. ACAB, dude.
Are you serious?
All the way. I'm serious. There was a video. I didn't share it because I don't, it'll circulate. You can look it up on Facebook.
I will.
The cops
I'll find the CNN first.
They literally have a man on the ground, and there's the fucking cops, 19 police officers were sitting out there while the mothers of the children were wailing as they were listening to the gunshots, as they were listening to their children fucking being murdered.
What the? Since I'm me, what the entire fuck?
The level of incompetency has, I mean, I've always known it was there. I feel like I've always known it was there. You know, I have never been a big fan of the police. However, I come from a family of law enforcement.
I have.
So there was, it was ingrained in me how to handle the cops. And I have had friends comment, "How the fuck did you talk to that cop?" And I'm like, because I was taught from a very young age how to literally handle, because, you know, I've had friends, they were like, "Dude, we were literally trespassing." And I'm like, "I know, but I'm white and I know how to talk to a cop, so it was okay." I'm a white woman, and I say, "Yes, officer," "No, officer."
And see, me, I was taught that, you know, their procedure as to how they're supposed to come and deal with and how they're supposed to pursue or even speak about dealing with their case. Because this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. When they pull you over, they have a procedure that they must go through. And if they don't go through that procedure, they're already breaking the law. They show up at your house, they still, by law, have to have a reasoning for being there. And if they say that they want to search your home, they either have to have a warrant or they have to have a very good fucking reason for wanting to barge in and search you. It has to be something immediately going on for them to want to
See, and I
come
was
in.
taught full compliance. As a child, I was taught you comply with the police officers. You anything they want, you say yes sir, no ma'am, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That I was taught full compliance.
See, I wasn't
I
taught.
mean, how interesting is that? You know that,
Mhm.
and how, I mean, what you were taught versus what I was taught. Because my mom's dad was highway patrol. He was highway patrol for 25 years.
Mhm.
And there were certain things that I remember him telling us as children, you know,
Mhm.
and it's just, you know, I say unfortunately now because I did play into the system, of course, but at the
Mhm.
time I didn't know. My my grandpa told me that's what to do, so of course he's a cop. He he's gonna know what to do, you know.
Right.
But and unfortunately, I probably still would be a little bit more compliant, but that's just because I don't want to fucking get shot.
True.
Like
Because
I just,
in this
you
day and
know,
time, they will shoot before they ask questions. They will
I
shoot you.
I just don't, you know, I I have a friend who's an urban explorer. She likes to go to like abandoned buildings, white people shit, you know. Um,
I don't know. I know some black folks that will. I know some black folks.
but we were at an abandoned hotel and she was taking some artsy photos and we saw the cop and I said, "Don't worry, I got this." And she like was like, "No, no, no, dude." And I was like, "No, no, no, finish what you're doing. I got this." And I took my ID out before I even walked outside. And I walked outside and I said, "Hello, officer, here's my ID." And he looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, we're just, we're urban exploring." And he was like, "You're not ghost hunters?" And I said, "No, no, no, I'm not a ghost hunter." And he said, "Oh, okay, good." And he's like, "If I run you, am I going to have to worry about anything?" I said, "No, sir, not at all. I'm good. No, no, never even
Mhm.
had a ticket." And he went, "Oh, okay." And then when my friend came out, she was like, "Officer, I swear we weren't." And he's like, "No, no, no. She already explained everything. No, I don't need to see your ID." And she's like, "What did you do?" And the cop whispered,
Mhm.
and he talked to us. He actually told us where to go. He's like, "Oh, if you girls want to go to some real abandoned sites, just go." And he gave us directions.
Mhm.
And we got in her car, and she was like, "Dude, I've never had
Oh, no
hello.
worries. No worries. Hey, I love you. No worries, sis. No
You're here
worries.
now.
Hey, good
You're
evening,
here
nephew.
now.
Because he did speak when he came in. Good evening, nephew, Mr. Prophetic J.
Good evening. Yes, hello." But no, so that was just my experience is, I was taught comply, be nice, do exactly
Mhm.
what they want you to do, smile, say please and thank you. But that's what a lot of white women are taught I feel like all throughout our lives is we are
Mhm.
taught comply, smile, smile. Nobody likes it if you're not
Mhm.
smiling. And so I think that that's kind of another reason of where we are as a society is the
Now,
compliance
I'll be
and the
honest. I
complicity.
have a good friend that lives in Dallas, Texas. I'm not gonna say her name online, but let's just say she talks to cops. And for some reason, even though she's discolored, for some reason they let her go. She's had weed in the car, she's had bones. I was in the car one day, got stopped on the. When I tell you that when the cops came up, she was like, "Yeah, no, 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 it's in the car. Yeah, I got a bone. That's weed." They let her keep a weed. She had to toss the bone. She was like, "Really, man?" He was like, "That way you don't smoke on the way home." Now, what the cop did do, he left the blunt. Okay, he left the blunt. Him and the other officers left the blunt. And the funny thing of it was, He said, what's wrong with your friend? What's wrong with your friend? If number one got anxiety, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of y'all. What y'all did, y'all approached that one wrong, but approached me right. He said, our bad, it's just the way it's dressed. So I got out of the car. I walked back over. I said, sweetie, what's wrong with my dress code? I just came from work. I'm not finna have on nothing else. And he said, I get that. And one of the guys said, hold on. You look familiar. You're a Marine, aren't you? I said, I'm actually Sergeant Guyton, Omega Psi Phi. I said, 3315. He said, Sergeant, salute. And I said, so, sir, tell me something, sir. Why would you think that I get anxiety? Why did it take 5 of you? We were cooperating. I just want to know why it was 5 and why is your supervisor here? And so the other guy tells the truth. He says, this guy is prejudiced. We came so he would act right. He said, but I did act right. I'm the one that, he said, I can't say it, but I'm the one that, and I laughed because he's the one that left the blunt in the car. He's the one. So Kenya was like, I said her name. She's like, see, we fine. We going home. We fine. I was looking at her like, you almost got her thrown in jail because you wanted to be happy and tell them everything that was in the car. They didn't even have no business searching your car. This was a routine traffic stop. Your light was out. What did that have to do with your search? And she said, but you didn't say anything. I said, I was too busy trying to figure out who I was killing first. Was I killing the big one or the little one first? I didn't know who to kill first. And she's laughing. And she says, but this is the thing that got me. She said, when you got back out, that's what got me. And they realized who you were. And I said, but I want you to understand something. I want you to hear me, and I want you to hear me good. When someone treats you on the way that you're dressed the same as me. But I'm the one who got the offense because I had a cap on. And then I had the mask. It's COVID. What did he thought I was going to have on? A hope and a prayer? And so he started, the cop started explaining. He said, it's COVID. Why is everybody tripping about the mask? I said, do you think it's a gang thing because the hat's turned to the back? I don't wear my hat at work turned to the front. The other officer said, I'm just going to look down. I said, I want you to get in the car. The car. The one you drive, the car. I want you to use it. And so he said, what was your MOS? I said, intelligence. He said, are you going to say the beginning of that? I said, do you want me to give you my code and you can look it up? He said, no. I know what that means. No. Get in the car, enjoy your day. You need that. I don't know why you have it. And then when she explained that she was Army, he was like, no, y'all, get in your car. Go home. Go home. Don't pass. Go home. Stop, get a beer. Stop, get whatever you need. Go home. And I started laughing because then he knew. He said, which one of you been to Desert Storm? And I said, I have. I let mine in, brought mine out. He said, favor. Tell me this. MOS means what is your specialty? What did you come into the Marine Corps for? Same with the Army, same with the Navy, the Air Force, NOS, MOS. What did you come in there specializing in? What was your job description, basically? So, ended up and we usually say it another way. Marine to Marine is Omega Psi Phi for me. Then you have those that are Omega Psi or Sigma Phi. You have those two. But me, I'm Omega. I had a little something behind my name. Anyway, evidently they needed bodies because I swear to God, Uncle Sam must have needed bodies. Y'all see my height? Look here. Look here, Linda. The door is bigger than me. Okay? The door, listen. I don't even come to half that fuck. So they needed someone. Okay. I look like I could pass. On my ID, it says 5 feet. But let me be honest. Where? Please tell me where. Tell me where. But anyway, let mine in, let him out, only lost 5. And that's due to folks don't like to listen. Kind of like in spirituality, nobody wants to listen when it's time for you to sit down.
No. No.
When it's time
No.
for you to actually put in the work.
Yes, you know, and there's no intersectionality in spirituality too. You know, something that I've noticed is and it really drives me crazy is, you know, spirituality is being portrayed as, you know, if you don't have the money to practice this, or you're not doing it just a certain way. First of all, our ancestors sure as hell did not have this giant ass altar like I have behind me with all kinds of bullshit on there, candles and crystals and, you know, no. It was the living room. It was the kitchen. It was what we already had. You know, all of
bathroom.
Yes.
Let's tell the truth.
Yes.
It was the bathroom.
Yes. Exactly. You know, it was not all this pomp and circumstance that has really kind of come in. And, you know, of course, I love a good ritual. I love a well-built altar. I can't help myself. I am a child of capitalism. What else am I supposed to do? But I have also known the simplicity of literally the outdoors and just being in the actual nature. I have known the simplicity of making something like baking or cooking and then realizing that what was actually happening was the spell itself. And so it really kind of, you know, and there's also, and this is more goes to like closed practices and, you know, again, white folk thinking that they can own everything and do everything. And sometimes no, and that's okay. You know, like if you don't say that, that's why someone created Frilly Lace. I'm so glad, Rennie. I'm glad because unfortunately that is a judgment that I've seen. You know, and I'll be honest, it's mostly people that, you know, again, my complexion, that are just like, I'm like, dude, can we stop?
I'm gonna be honest. I get tired of him. I don't mean no disrespect. I listened to a man say that he chose a spirit. I'm not gonna say what spirit, but he chose the spirit. The spirit went thinking about him, when looking for him, didn't even search him out. But he chose the spirit and decided he was going to work with the spirit. Here's my issue. I get it. You know, we some of us want the. Yeah, he chose. Yeah, he looked at the spirit, said, I'm working with you. Spirit didn't even know who the fuck pardon the way I said, he didn't know who the fuck he was. Okay. Young man was a friend of mine. And when he said this, he said, oh, I like candles, this, that, and another. So I said, what spirit you working with? I had to ask. He told me. I said, I'm going to just do a little research. Before I could get my research out, Spirit said, I'm so glad you asked. So let me tell you how pissed off I am. So I'm going to fuck your friend up. I'm like, wait, whoa, what's your name? Hold up, excuse me. Hi, what's your name? Spirit go, you at least ask. So he tells me his name, and he says, I'm going to fuck your friend up. And I said, why are you going to fuck him up? He chose me. I didn't choose him. I don't even know him. I don't even know his ancestors. I don't know what the fuck he's doing here. I said, can you do me a favor? Before the ass whooping, is he doing anything right? He said, I don't even like fucking pecans. Where's the steak? I said, okay. So I'm gonna get up and fix your steak. Whatever you do to my friend, you do it. But how do you like your steak? And so he tells me. I went in there, fixed the steak, and at 3:00 in the morning, I'm fucking up at AM fixing steaks for spirits, knowing I have to go to work in 2 hours. I'm fixing the steak. He tells me, "Where the fuck your friend up?" I said, "Can I get a favor? If I tell my friend first, and if he doesn't listen, and I'm fixing you the steak, I'm putting it on you. You like A1 or Heinz 57?" He said, "Neither one." I said, "Okay, neither one." So I'm putting the steak on there while I'm asking, about my friend. I said, "So when I'm fixing your steak, can I just have a brief chance to warn him?" He said, "Sure." But what was you saying about his decision? I said, "He had to make the wrong decision. Beat his ass. Fair and square. Beat his ass. But if he listens to me, will you not beat his ass?" He said, "Sure, I'll not do it. Sure." Now, the problem is with a spirit saying sure sometimes. Sure means I'm just not going to whoop his ass while you're in his presence sometimes.
Basically.
So,
You won't be collateral damage.
right. So, me, being me, I said, I understood the way you said sure. So what I mean is, like, even when I'm not there, can you, if he listens, can you leave my friend alone? Can you, like, don't touch his finances, don't kill his family, don't kill him? I mean, like, really, like, leave him alone. He said, if he listens, I tell you what, I'll leave him alone. I'll do this for you. I'll leave him alone. I said, okay. He said, but you're going to owe me another steak. Fine, I got a couple of them in the freezer. No problem. I got you. So I tell my friend, what does my friend do? Oh, he didn't tell me that. He told me he loved. First off, he lied. So I go, I'm thinking to myself, I'll give you the steak anyway. Hell, I tried. But little did I know, friend gets home, takes down the altar, takes down everything, apologizes. So he comes back to me in a dream and he tells me he took everything down. I said, let me get you that steak. Did you say you wanted medium rare or well done? How did you want it? It's only 12 o'clock. He said, you can fix it when you get off work after you take a shower. He said, rest, you got to make your money. So I went to sleep. But I was so thankful because the truth of the matter is you can get your ass whooped like that. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter. You get your ass whooped like that. And for me, the only reason why I was doing the research because I was kind of concerned about who the hell my friend go around picking and choosing.
Right.
Because why are you choosing them? If let me be honest, if there's any spirit that's coming to you, even when it's the opposite of your family, and it's been fighting against your family for years or whatever, that one still came through your ancestors. You're not going to fight some spirit that has not been around for you to know. You're not going to get some spirit that's saying, hey, I'm here to help, and no one knew in your family. No one knew. You may not be aware of who knew.
Right.
Just like for myself, like I said, a particular Loa, she came out and told me, hey, you're my kid. I was like, ma'am, you don't mind me asking, can you please tell me how? And when she explained which ancestor it was, which was my grandmother, when she explained, I was like, okay. By any chance, can you give me the beginning of her name? Give me like the first initial. She said, F, duh. She did me like that. I was like, okay, take my does. I'll take it like I'm in special ed. I'll take that. That's my fault. But I just had to know. And I said, a couple of my questions are probably jackass questions, but I gotta know. And she said, no, they're not jackass. You need to know so you can
Mm-hmm.
understand how this happened. But you have a dad's side, you have your mother's side, your
Mm-hmm.
grandma's practice. Both of them. You don't know one, but you know the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one that taught you was the one that had me. The one that taught your other had my sister. She explained. And I was like,
Mm.
okay. Mm. She said, there's a lot of us. We love you. We're all going to make ourselves known. We've been doing it all your life. So, me being me, okay, can I just start here? She said, sure. I said, okay, let me get to know you. She even took me back to a past life. I won't get into the
Mm.
full details of that, but let's just say her taking me back brought some things, some gifts, some things that I haven't done in a long time back to my remembrance.
Mm.
I can truly say I thank her for it. Uh, that's why she's beside my bed. Anyway, she literally, when a spirit is really for you, they don't mind answering your questions,
No.
even if it's a jackass. In my case, you feel
Mm-hmm.
the jackass
Mm-hmm.
questions. But for me, you have to know, and a lot of times in your family, I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't mean everybody sits down and tells the family stories or tells the family history. So prepare yourself for that because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always mean that they are going to say, well, your grandma talked about it when the kids, your aunts, your auntie, and all them have no idea what the fuck. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Yep.
being talked about. And a lot of them practiced in another way and didn't even realize the form that they were in.
Correct.
Back then, like you were saying about the ancestors, see, they call it the prayer room.
Mm.
See,
Mm-hmm.
the witch in the house was named Mother, and the sisters was named Sister. So they didn't say you got cursed, they said you got fixed. See, the wording changed back then. See, from what we use
Right.
now, like you said, see, they was using dirt, rocks, whatever they could get the fucking hands on. Like you said, the herbs. Um, as Ephi put it, when the good master sat on the porch.
Yeah.
See, I was raised by my grandmother, so I remember just to tell this story. My grandmother was cleaning a young man's house, a white man, him and his wife. I remember because I was sitting there. She told me, "Sit right there, baby, don't move." I sat right there. Man gave me a Coca-Cola and everything, and he was telling her about the work that she did for him. He was thanking her. He was like, "You know that
Mm.
thing you did, it worked out." He was like, "Oh, you're welcome." She was like, "You're welcome." And yeah, we're gonna charge it to God because back then you couldn't say it was voodoo. You couldn't say
Right.
because a lot of them
Right.
was not outspoken
Yep.
at all. And so back then he was like, "Tell your mother, your sister mother of yours, it all turned out good." She said, "Oh, I sure will," but it wasn't the sister mother, it was me. Then he was like, "Well, thank you," and he gave her the pie, he gave her a check, he gave me a Coca-Cola. But the thing that he did, he made a mistake with me. He said something to me that made me nervous, and he had no idea that she was teaching me. And he said
Mm.
something about the child is peculiar. He said, "Oh," said the baby, got a good connection with the Lord. You might want to correct that because that one to go talk to the Lord, and next thing you know, it's a disaster after that baby gets to talking. He made me uncomfortable because of the way he touched me. I'll tell the truth. He touched me.
Mm.
I ain't like it. I was sure to go and have a little talk with her altar at the time. And he told her, and he came back. He said, "Well, baby, here's a Coca-Cola. I'm gonna stay over here, or way over here." He said, "I just want you to know, didn't mean no harm." And I said, "I understand." But a lot of people don't get back then. They didn't have a lot. She didn't use candles.
Mm-mm.
What
No.
she used, to be honest, she had some dirt on some foil. And she put her hands on that dirt and she prayed. Whatever that man needed, it happened. Because see, back then, they didn't have a lot of stuff.
Right.
Even those that were practicing Wiccan back then had to sneak
Mm-hmm.
out into the woods and to the forest. Like I said, a lot of stuff was not really talked about. And like you
No.
said, these glamorous altars, see, we do that for nowadays.
Yes.
Back then,
Yes.
if they had a thing of liquor, they pretended to be drinking
Yep.
and would go and do right the scary. I'm gonna get into
Mm-hmm.
that. Scary. Because a lot of people did a lot of mirror magic. And what you do is take you
Yep.
some good old water there and clean your mirror
Yep.
and you pray. See, back
Yep.
then they ain't had no damn Florida water. They ain't have all that.
No. No. No.
They had whatever was necessary,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you use what you had to do what you need to do.
Yep.
Some of the best, tell y'all the truth, some of the best magic I ever done was with some dirt and probably with a train track nail. Tell you the truth. Nice
Mm-hmm.
little spike. Yep, that's it. Some of the
Yep.
best work I ever done. But when you light candles and stuff, don't get me wrong. I respect modern day magic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
Same.
anything is wrong with it. I'm just saying respect the magic
Right.
and don't get so caught up in what you don't have.
Yes.
Don't. Because when you get caught up and you don't have this and you don't have that, back then, you remember when your grandma and them cooked, they substituted. If they didn't have one thing that was supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
butter, they got that grease and put that in that same cake.
Yep.
And that cake turned out delicious. So it's the same thing in magic. Because back
Yep.
then, I'm going to tell you the truth. What happened when you run out of sage? Know how to use rosemary? Know how to use lavender?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that you run out of don't mean you can't do what you do. Because first thing they had to remember, they are the temple. I know some
Yep.
of them used to step right there on the porch and say, I know you and you know me. And that was their prayer and things will work out. So all I'm saying is don't be so caught up. A lot of us, I wish that back then we got these principles. Let me be real.
Mm-hmm.
There was a such thing as when you go in somebody's house, it was unspoken. They would tell you don't touch the altar.
Yep.
They would tell you just don't go in touching somebody's stuff, just putting your hand all over everything, just we don't do that. Back then, what happens if you didn't know where the altar was? Because they used to hide the altar.
Right.
You'd open a door that was locked, and you stepped in and you felt something different. Or when you went in the bathroom and you went to, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. Some of the best spells I heard was done in the bathroom. My grandmother was one that would use the bathroom to come out of there and say, baby, it's done. I'm looking at her like, what's done? You shit? That's done? You know what I mean? That was me. I was like, she mean it's done. She told that woman, baby, it's done. And then the woman go home, money come to the woman. Or the person that was getting on her nerves got removed from her life. And she said the maintenance man touched my altar, just saying. Well, I tell you what, poor baby.
Yeah.
Because if them particular spirits didn't like him, bless him. As they say in the South, bless his heart, child. Bless his heart. Because see, tell you something about spirits, they don't care if you know or don't know. You had home training is what they say. You knew not to go in somebody else's house messing with their stuff.
Right.
See, tell you about old school spirits. Be careful, because they'll tell you had home training. You knew not to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
See, over here, I don't. You know how most people say they tell their spirits don't do this, don't do this. I'm sorry, I don't tell them jack shit. You know what I tell them? If you felt it, you seen fit that it needed to be done. If that's what you felt, baby, that's what you felt. I'm not finna tell you how to do your job. My job is to let you do your job.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. The only thing I tell my ancestors is if you are not for my highest and greatest good, you are not welcome here. Because that's something that people also don't consider. Everyone's like, oh, your ancestors are always out for you and they will always know. No.
Mm-mm.
Unfortunately, no. There are some ancestors that are legit upset that you are living the life that you are living right now for whatever reason. Whether they're jealous or whether they're bigoted, we don't know.
Some of them have religiosity, certain beliefs. It doesn't mean that they're always in church. Some of them just don't think you should be doing it. See, this is the question I always ask people. What do you do when mama was a witch, but she didn't want you to be a witch? Now mama want to stop you because mama deceased.
Yeah.
What do you do when your family and yourself didn't get along? And let me say this, let me clear something up. Not all your ancestors you will know by your last name. Not every ancestor have your last name.
So true.
Because like Facebook being funny, they put the cat up there asleep. Well, the little fat fuck fits me. I'll say that because I stay asleep. If you ever want to know what is it that I do, I obey so I can rest good. When I crawl into bed, I don't want the spirit saying, remember when you didn't tell? No, I don't want to hear that. I want to be the fat cat. I want to be the fat cat. I want to be the fat cat. I'm the fat one. Let me in the bed. Leave. No. See, that's why I will tell you unadulterated. And some of your ancestors, and I say this, even about gods and goddesses, spirit guides and everything, not everybody likes you. Please stop assuming that you can work with everything. No disrespect, but it's a certain guy out here telling everybody that based on your who you are, you can work with everything. No, the fuck you can't. No, the fuck you can't. If it ain't your path, please don't stab. Don't dabble.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put it to you like this: some of your ancestors, they can love you and not like what you do. Y'all could have got along on this earth. Y'all could have had a wonderful relationship. That doesn't make them agree to what you do. So be careful, because there are some, I've had it happen to me. Earlier, this not this year. Earlier this year and last year, where an ancestor decided, oh, I'm gonna give you a fucked up read to detour off your path. That shit with nurse or deity. Exactly. But people will try to run up on them and try to work with them. Exactly, Anthony. People will run up on them, though. And next thing you know, you got this mad ass deity, you got this mad ass ancestor, because some of them, and I'm gonna tell you this. Sometimes it's good to have a talk. I love lady speech because it's true. A lot of generational curses, you're helping your ancestors heal, because some of them ain't healed. Just because they went to the other side don't mean that they took the ride. Don't mean that they embraced that truth that they found out.
I had to stop myself from commenting on this TikTok I saw, because this lady was saying, when they cross over, there are no more egos. The fuck there are. Yes, they're still egos. No, they are not perfect. And no, just because they died doesn't mean they're suddenly this enlightened fucking being, dude. No. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't.
And let me say this. Did they miss that any god has an ego? Any goddess? Here, let me do it like this. Let me start with the Christian faith. Mr. Jehovah or Yahweh or Elohim, he said in Isaiah, I created the light and the darkness. Dude told you what all he did, okay? Look, not the Lord with a T, but the Lord with a D. He told you what all he did. He told you, I made this, I made that, I did this, I made that, and I will have no other God before me. Is that not his words? So, where did they get that he didn't have an ego? Seth has an ego. Who said he didn't have an ego?
And Persephone has an ego. She's my goddess. Her ego was so big that she turned a nymph into the fucking mint plant, dude, because that's how pissed off she was. Because someone was coming at her man. Yeah. Because she came at her man sideways and she said, oh, no, the fuck you didn't. And she made her mint so that way when she walked across the mints, she would have something nice to smell as she crushed her underfoot. Tell me that's not an ego.
That's an ego. But I'm going to say this about the ego, since everybody thinks it's non-existent. I'm going to say it's about the ego. The ego actually needs to be cleaned up. I don't think you ever get rid of the little fucker. But I think it needs to be cleaned up.
Yes.
Cleaned up and used for wisdom. Because like my sister down here who made her comment, Willow, I believe that the ego is a part of our identity too. I mean, but I'm just saying, look at your God and goddesses. Are you going to tell them not to have their ego? Because we get it honestly. Listen, when I read some of the petty stuff that some of these gods and goddesses did, I said, then why you saying something about my petty? Because I'm just as petty as you are. Why are you mad at me for being petty?
Exactly. I don't want a perfect God. I want a God that gets mad like I do or does shit out of impulse. You know?
Look, you said good luck with that.
We can do shit out of impulse. And then we go, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
No, hold up. That's the part even in Christianity. Even Jehovah said, I repented for making man. But see, that's the part they don't want to talk about. You know, that's that part right there where the God actually says, wait a minute, I ain't like what I did. I don't like y'all right now. I don't like my creation. But this is what people want to do. They want to make it like these gods and these goddesses don't have tempers. And this is the same God. Now, see, you know, he killed my ass a long time ago, but I got a couple of moles on top of that. My ass is short. See, he took my ass about this motherfucker a long time ago. And so you can't tell me that this great God didn't have a type, didn't have a mold, didn't have what they thought was. Like you said, Persephone. I know Persephone from Madame Hecate, because if I'm not mistaken, Hecate was her gatekeeper. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And is greatly loved by Madame Hecate. Greatly loved. And from my understanding, Persephone is very, very powerful. I got nothing but respect for the goddess. Very powerful. But I must say, and I must be honest, I don't know her personally as in working with her or as in even coming into her presence. If I did, goddess, please forgive me. Don't hit me. I'm just saying. I don't know if I did. Please remind me. I promise I will fix it. Whatever I gotta do. Just let me know. But as far as I know, in this human body, in this skin right here, this container, I haven't recognized you, either because I didn't recognize your presence, or you just didn't fucking let me know. I don't know. But either way, I've heard great things about her. But yes, they have an ego. She has an ego. Quite a few have a fucking ego. So we get it from somewhere. So to say that you're going to do away with the ego in the sense of, okay, I'm going to kill it and it's not going to be a part of me, then I need you to take a look at who you're serving. Even the Loa has a ego.
Mm-hmm.
The Orishas even have a ego. We're going to leave King Shango out of this. That's my friend, but we're going to leave him out of this. Now, I will say this. I do not follow the Orishas as in Ifa, Akume, all of that, but I have a great love and a great respect for the
Same.
Orishas. And I will say this. Some of them have egos. I read some of the stories, have egos. So
Yeah.
I will say this.
Yeah.
If you can do away with your ego, the God or goddess that created you, if you can do away with theirs, then you can do away with yours. Good luck. I wait. I just say clean it up. Clean your ego up. Don't let your ego write you a check that your ass can't cash. That's all
That's
I say.
right. That's right. 100%. You know, in any work, you know, and that could even go as far as spell work goes. You know, do not manifest what you cannot banish.
There it is. But that's the same as if you can't bless it, don't curse it.
Yep.
If you can't heal it, then don't unheal it. If you can't plant it, please don't sow it, because you will reap it. I promise you.
Yep.
And all I'm saying is, if you can't do one without knowing the other, because I'm gonna say this, I don't care who you are, you got to be able to. If you tell me it don't matter if you light, darkness, damn, I don't give a fuck, whatever. You could be this, you could be Sky God. I don't give a fuck. If you in your path cannot listen and pay attention to how to, you can't tell me you're a healer and you never been sick. How can you remove a sickness if you never had to remove it out of your life? How can you pay me to believe? Now, don't get me wrong. There are some, just like even in the Bible, there are some that would die with a sickness. And let me undo some of these preachers, little shit that they say. Boo Elijah died, and he had a hell of a lot of power. So even when they throw the dead man on his bones, the man crawled out. Okay, he got up. So I'm gonna put it like this: you can die with a sickness, but at least with Elijah, he knew, because of the sickness in his life, how to heal. He knew how to undo one. He knew how to bless as well as curse. If you ain't never been cursed, how the fuck can you get out of that? How can you remove something if you never had it done to you? See, this is my issue with a lot of them. And I'm going to say this because I really do have a pet peeve. This is my issue with a lot of people. Everybody want to stand up before they sit down. Everybody want to run before they walk.
Yep.
Take a minute. It is okay to stop and say, all right, look, yo, bro, I don't know how to do that. That's just like with voodoo. Yep. Listen, let me tell you something. I don't care how much anybody say the Oreo is similar to voodoo. Baby, let me sit down. Let me have a seat and learn. Because one thing you don't ever want to get into is trying to do something and say you know something when you really don't. Go to school where you go to school at. Be a student when you can. Because in this life, you never stop learning. Don't for a minute tell me that you know all, you see all, and you understand all. If you understand all, I need a favor. What the hell you doing here? I just want to know why you in school again. What you doing here? Because even those that per se as elders volunteered to be in this life per se, and I'll leave it at that, per se. Even us, we're still learning. Obia all day long, still learning. Still learning. If you name a time that I'm not learning, if you name a time that you're not learning, I want to know why the dirt ain't on your body. I want to know. And I'll be honest, because at the end of the day, in any craft that you do, don't care what your path is, please take the time, because you can't proclaim something if you really don't know how to do it. You can't say you're something that you're not.
Yeah.
How can you speak your life into something that you have never had the chance to see the depth of? How? How can you do it? Yeah, exactly, working together. Because being honest, to me, I always say this earth, we're all roommates. You live in your house, I live in mine, you live over here, you live over there. But we're still roommates, we're still all in the same classroom. Maybe taking different subjects, but we're still walking that path of life. Maybe learning in different relationships and different variations of things, but we still have to work together. That's the thing. And I'm going to say this. I love every path, but let's stop fighting and let's deal with this government and let's deal with the bullshit that's going on around us. Stop fighting. And nobody's dick is bigger. Let's stop. We got a whole country that's about to be driven into a fucking hole if we keep letting this government run them up. I don't give a fuck if you Democrat, Republican, to me, all that's crap to me. And I'm going to tell you why. And let's be honest. You're fighting over blue or red or whatever the fuck of politicians and stuff, and you're not paying attention that the government gives no fuck about none of that.
Dude, Joe Biden tweeted out after the shooting in Texas, how is this America? Somebody's got to do something about this. Bro.
See?
First of all, you've been in office since the fucking 70s, dude. Second of all, my friend, you are the president of the United States.
But hear what I'm saying. See why we need to stop fighting? You just made my point. You just made my point. This is why we need to come together.
Everyone's like, vote blue, vote blue. No, dude, because the Democrats are literally in power right now. And what the fuck is happening? Nothing. Nothing.
But see, here's the thing. That's why I said
shitbird, man.
Exactly.
The right wing,
that's why
left wing, it's all connected to the same bird, and that bird is shit. It's a shit bird.
Exactly. And he keeps shitting. That's why I had to stop watching TV, because he keeps shitting. And I'm going to be honest. With all of these gifts, with all of this power that we have in this earth, I don't give a fuck what your path is or where you come from. I'm with Lady Speech. It's time. Let's stand up. I've been saying this shit for years. Let them stop playing the game with us. Let's stand up and change this shit. Because let's be real. If we let them do it around the world, around the country, around the world, if we let them do it, we're going to be up shit creek and our life's going to fuck up and be lost because someone wanted to play with it. If we leave it to
already being lost, you know?
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, it hasn't even been 2 weeks since Buffalo, but in the 12 days, 13 days it's been since the Buffalo shooting?
True.
30 people have died. Over 20 people this year have died because of gun violence. The fuck, dude.
Truth. But this is the thing. I'm going to say this, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people going to come to me, but here's my issue. All these gifts, all these people. Here's the thing that I noticed with Hitler. Don't like Hitler, but here's what I noticed. You know that he got clairvoyant people to fight his war? You know that he got psychics? So when they say that we don't have anything to do with politics, yes, we do.
Yeah.
We were some of
Yeah.
the main ones making decisions. So what I'm saying, and I'm gonna say this in a nice fucking way, because I'm really a jackass. I'm gonna say this in a nice fucking way. If we don't come together, how can we really complain when this country is up shit creek? Because all this fucking power, how the fuck can we complain if we can't come together and say, hey, let's change this shit. Let's stop this shit. We have the power around the world. I don't give a fuck who you are. We have the power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you, pardon the way I say this because I hug trees myself. I don't care if you just a tree hugger. Go out there and hug your tree and pray. If
Mm-hmm.
you sweeping in the church, I don't give a fuck. Don't give a damn that you're Christian. All I ask you to do is set your judgment aside. Put the Jesus you think that you with to the side and get with the Jesus that's saying we're gonna change this, and let's change it. Real talk. Because if we
Yeah.
leave it to this, if we leave it to this world the way this shit's going, and I'm gonna tell you something else. Why do you think the dirt is crying so hard? Why do you think the earth is crying so hard? When have you ever known the weather to be like this? Let's really pay attention. When have you known the weather to be like this? When have you ever known some of the shit that's happening now to go on? Let's be real. Let's really talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we don't come together. Can't get mad when Mother Earth say, fuck y'all and let me ship y'all ass out.
Mm-hmm.
How much more of this you think she's going to take of the narcissistic attitude that the government is giving off, that we'll give it off, that the mistreatment of this planet is being given off to? How much more you think she's going to take? And I say that because the difference between, and I'm going to say this, a lot of people say, well, you don't watch the news. I don't have to. I have enough dirt out here crying. I don't fucking have to. Because if we really respected and we really loved anything about this earth, we will put aside our different beliefs and come together to change something. Instead of, mine's better than yours mentality, my dick is bigger than yours mentality, my pussy's wetter than yours mentality. Come together. Because if we don't, we're going to get fucked up. And we're going to get fucked up bad. We think just with Ukraine, we think just we got to, pardon the way I say this, Joe Biden, I stopped watching Joe Biden when he forgot how to wipe his ass. That's when I was done. I was already through. I was through when I saw the laws, what they were bringing in. I was already through. I was already through when I heard the Roe versus Wade. I was already done. I've been done a long time ago. I didn't give a damn who was president. I was done a long time ago. And like Ifa said, it is a mental thing. But how many of us going to put aside our disagreements, our disbeliefs, and come together and actually do this? Because if we don't, and we're supposed to be the spiritual community, the religious community, let me be honest. Let me say something about spirituality. Don't say nothing about the church if you're too busy fighting for positions and gossiping and talking about one another and cutting one another down to. Because you just like them. Let me be real. If you can't respect your elders, why the hell are you demanding somebody else to do it? You can't respect your ancestors and represent them. Why the fuck are you demanding somebody else to do it? Again, y'all can shoot me tomorrow, but today, I'm gonna give it to you because I gotta rest. I promise you, I'm that fat cat. My spirit animal was really that fat cat. I was that fat fuck with the leg up, one cop. So I'm gonna be real. How can we say anything? How can we say anything? And we got the blood of our ancestors in our veins, but we refuse to do what it takes and to do our part.
I think that unfortunately there has to be a lot of deprogramming because there has been such a brainwashing you know, even though colonialism and this colonial, you know, the colonization has only been about 600 years, that is 600 years of deprogramming that has to be done.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I think a lot more has to happen before enough people are so frustrated that real change is going to take place. Because yes, it's happening more. Yes, more people are waking up, but and it's not just it's not, and I know Anthony believes that it's the TV. It's not just the TV. It's not. It is
It's everything.
learned behavior. It is
Mhm.
behavior and attitudes and thoughts that have been passed down that are deep, deep, deep in our DNA.
Truth. Truth.
You
I
know,
agree.
the, you know, I will reference, you know, queerness or gayness or, you know, homosexuality. You know, people are saying, well, the amount of homosexual or trans or this is increasing, right? Because we have created a world that more people feel comfortable with
Mhm.
saying, I am gay, I am trans, I am this,
Mhm.
you know, and it goes into monogamous relationships.
Mhm.
And even, you know, and I don't want to, you know, don't come for me, because I truly believe that a good majority of our problems are caused by colonialism and patriarchal attitudes, you know, and decolonizing the whole, what is love? What is intimacy? What is friendship? What do these things look like? Because we are told, what we're told is very heterosexual and very heteronormative. We are taught that boys and girls can only be friends, or boys can only be in the friend zone because the girl won't fuck him. We are told that women cannot be friends because there's a competition, because women hate other women.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
That's the whole card. Yeah.
none of that is true. You know, it's so, you know, so I really feel that boundaries are going to have to continuously be pushed.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, more horrific things are going to need to happen
Mhm.
until until people can wake up. You know, real structures will have to collapse and implode in on itself.
Right. You know what? I can't do nothing but agree. I don't know about anybody else, but I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. See it every day. See it every day. Because unfortunately, I use this for an example, since someone else blamed it on COVID as the reason why he shot. So, COVID, the minute that they said that COVID was no more, everybody took off their mask. Everybody started going back outside.
Mm-hmm.
But correct me if I'm wrong. COVID still walking around here taking motherfuckers out.
It sure is.
And from what I
It
understand, it's
sure is.
illegal up out here. That the government is so worried about, be honest, taking care of another country instead of taking care of their
Mm-hmm.
own. And I'm gonna say this, but that's always been around. That particular spirit's always been around. Nobody wants to sweep around their own back door. Everybody wants to
Mm-hmm.
sweep around else's. So my whole point is saying that, yeah, the programming has to break up, and unfortunately, it's gonna take a great awakening,
Mm-hmm.
and that
No,
awakening has a
I
lot of
agree.
falling away. Have a lot of falling away. It has
Mm-hmm.
a lot of shit that has to go on because people tend to don't listen until something horrible happens. That's just like when you have a funeral. You got relatives and different stuff that ain't seen
Mm-hmm.
each other in a long time, that hadn't talked in
Mm-hmm.
20 years. But you get to a funeral, and what do? we need to throw aside this. We need to let this go because what happened? They had a common denominator that hit home.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You had people that you love that you lost, and both of you love that person. And I hate to say this, but the gods and goddesses, they use stuff like that to wake people up. Unfortunately, it's sad that they have to throw those kind of horrific lessons out there, even
Mm-hmm.
though we all leave here someday and we all know that. I think our biggest struggle is the way people leave. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
our biggest struggle, the way people leave, because of the fact that way so and so left that jarred you to do what you needed to do. And I just want to know how many more events, how many more? Because to be honest, everybody talks about signs and wonders, this and that, but how many more? And I'll say this way: if nothing else, I'm gonna tell you the two prayers that I pray every day. How can I keep my hands clean as a dark worker? The other one, how can I do better? Because you can't help where you can't do better at, and where you can't learn where you need to. So how can I? Because as any kind of leader, don't matter if you do lives or not, you're still a leader in your life, and somebody's
Yep.
watching it. So
Yep.
the question that I think a lot of us forget to ask is the day I'm trusted, or is the day I'm letting go and just not doing it all? What's the purpose of today? And I say that with all love and with all due respect. If we don't start somewhere and stop gaslighting ourselves and stop letting the government gaslight us with the programming, we're fucked. And I'm saying it openly because, like I said, everything that was said, I agree. The comments, I agree. I agree. But until we make up our mind to change, how can anybody else change?
Right. And I want to speak on gender, Rennie. Gender is a colonial construct.
Mm-hmm.
Gender is the direct result of colonialism. If you
True.
actually look back in multiple ancient Greece, ancient tribes of indigenous people, even in Eastern Indian cultures, there has always been what they call a third gender. And there's
Didn't say that.
always been a name for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have actually held some of the highest spiritual regard within their community because they viewed it as a balance of divine energies.
Right.
So I don't agree with the fact that children are being programmed because gender and sexuality are a colonial construct. It is to keep the nuclear family, man, wife, and not and keep with capitalism and keep the slave system in place. That is my opinion. And it's not a sickness.
I'm just gonna back you up. You don't mind? I'm just gonna
Thank
back
you.
you up.
Thank
Like
you. It's not a sickness. It's not a perversion. It is something that has been documented. And even in ancient Greece, so I've shared this before. In mythology, in ancient Greece mythology, Apollo got drunk one night and thought it would be funny to switch sexual organs and then allow these people to wake up. They went to bed, what they perceived to be as a man, and woke up to what they perceived to be as a woman.
Let me say this, Apollo, I'm glad I went back in your time to be some pregnant women walking around. Anyway, but to say this, just to back you up, like Anthony said, two-spirited, meaning the masculine and the feminine were in one. If anybody's ever done a anatomy research, when you come into this world, it is said that you have a fetus, right? That is the first thing forms, right? Is a fetus.
Mm-hmm.
A fetus. A fetus is considered to start out feminine, no matter if you're male or female. Scientifically, this is
Mm-hmm.
see this is why we in OBOB we get called scientists sometimes, but it started out as a fetus, and in it starting out as a fetus, the sex they say cannot be determined because it started out feminine, meaning that, if correct me if I'm wrong, but the X in the Y chromosome, I believe the Y, was it the male or the feminine? Was it the Y, was the Y the male?
I think so. I'm not a biologist.
Okay, but when they got to the chromosomes, there's an X and a Y. Well, one of those damn chromosomes or hormones starts out feminine, and you can't
Yep.
determine the sex yet. You kind of have to wait. And unfortunately, when they do their forget what they call the goddamn thing, when they do where they check the baby,
Oh
and
yeah, the ultrasound. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they usually can tell if the baby, based on him raising his stick and going high, or
Yep.
based on not having a stick. Um, they say that it starts out feminine first, so they wait to tell to see the form. Now,
Yep.
let me say this. What do you do? I'll show y'all something about two-spirited. I don't remember, I never get this pronunciation right. But what happens when you're born with both?
Oh,
Are
that is
you going,
hermaphroditism.
okay, so are you going to tell them, hey, you have to be male, or you have to be female, or you have to be this, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be that? Are you going to let them just be? And let me be honest, I think the gods and goddesses were not being funny. I think they were making a point of
Mm-hmm.
saying,
Mm-hmm.
when are we going to get back to the soul of man? When are we going to get
Right.
back to the soul of the human race? Not just man, but the human race. Because a lot of times we put these stigmas, and this is probably why we have a hard time if a God shows up as a female. If a God
Mm-hmm.
shows up, if a goddess shows up as a male, we have
Mm-hmm.
such a hard time with that. We, we,
Yep.
we, we lose grips. And I'll be honest, what are you going to do one day when they decide to just show up as spirit?
Mm-hmm.
Can you really take that when they don't come in a container and they really get out of the gender? And they just say, because see, when you're too spirited, I mean, you kept a gate. In the Native American community or the indigenous, you kept a gate. Meaning that the God showed up to you as a spirit. They didn't pick a gender. Because technically, they didn't give a fuck. Even for you Christians, the Bible tells you he sees such a one in spirit and in truth. Meaning he didn't ask you about your goddamn gender.
Mm-hmm.
Asked you about your soul. So until we get that pure heart, we start debating on what these babies learn. And I say that in a loving way. But some of these, it won't hit home until the very thing that's close to you tell you, hey, I'm so and so. Hey, I'm this. Hey, I'm that. What you gonna say? What you gonna do? Because some of them kick their kids out of their home. Some of them kick
Mm-hmm.
their kids here and there. Some of them have put people out
And some
and
of them
put
kill
people over here,
themselves.
put people over there. Yeah, but
They
see,
kill themselves.
even in the spiritual community, there are people who would tell you, well, since you're that way, I've had relatives to make stupid ass posts. Like I said, God rest his soul. He's not no longer here, and God bless his soul. But he thanked me later. That's why I asked him. I said, "You said that about Egypt. Can I ask you something?" When they were singing R. Kelly, "I'm fucking you tonight," they just wanted to make sure that you wasn't a kid to be fucked. Okay, they weren't fucking babies. If you was of age, according to the Egyptians, you got fucked. Okay, they didn't give a damn. He didn't care if you was holding your
Mm-hmm.
dick or you was holding your. You feel me?
Right.
He didn't care. They didn't give a fuck. She didn't care.
Right.
The thing that I'm trying to say in this things have been long existing before time. And
Mm-hmm.
even in the body anatomy, we have got to stop dictating to these kids, dictating to people who they should conform
Mm-hmm.
to. Let them
Like,
grow.
right. And I have to think, like, for like obviously I consider myself as a cis woman. I identify as a woman. I feel bodily that I am a woman. I
Mhm.
have to think about how traumatic growing breasts would be if I didn't want breasts, or how traumatic getting your period would be if I didn't want to get my period.
I can tell you, it's emotional when you don't want to be.
Yeah,
It makes you a little more feminine than you normally would want to be.
yeah,
Just to let you know, I'm masculine identified. It's he, him. And I'll keep it 100. I'm not the type that's going to do the surgery. I am what they call
right,
the first trends. The first set of trends did not want to have surgery. What we
right.
wanted to was to be respected for us,
And surgery
meaning
is a
that
choice. It's a choice. You shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have to get surgery if you don't want to. You know what? Some men have boobs and some men bleed and some women have a bulge.
and just for you men that have boobs, call it man boobs. Don't trip. Or call it boobs, honey. If you hunty, call them titties. It's okay. We respect you. Do your thing. But for me, yeah, I have Ray J, Tay J. Yeah, they here, but they dudes. Just to let you know, these dudes. But I'm gonna tell you, just like this here, a lot of us, we realize, but don't get mad at us because we know who we are on the inside. And for some of us, don't get mad when we want to bring it to the outside. Don't, and let me say this, don't drown somebody where they don't need to be drowned. Let them have their identity. Let's stop the whole you're gonna be this. Because I'm gonna be honest, whether people like it or not, everybody has tried to live their life through someone. No disrespect, but if you've ever tried to tell someone how they shouldn't or should act or be, or what
Mm-hmm.
a quote unquote so and so looks like,
Yep.
you tried because you tried to enforce what you believe. And I'm going to tell you what I feel religion is. Religion is not a spiritual path or a belief. Religion is something that you have been programmed to, that you have
Mm-hmm.
decided that you're going to force upon someone else. It has nothing to do with being a Christian. It has nothing to do with being a Luciferian. It has nothing to do with following the Greeks, with being Egyptian, with being
Mm-hmm.
Ifa,
Mm-hmm.
Obeah, with being Voodoo, Hoodoo, or whatever. It has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Right.
It has to do when you think that your belief is something that should go further. That's not okay, but knowing of kids that are that way helps the world understand the kids that are true, truth,
Mm-hmm.
truth. And I'll be okay. I don't think that a 5-year-old should be pressured into doing shit that they don't want to do. And another thing
Right.
is, if
No,
your
no.
5-year-old doesn't want to be around certain adults, can you please
Right.
stop making your 5-year-old do that?
Yeah.
Can you please stop that shit?
No kidding.
Can
You
you
know?
please, if your 5-year-old is uncomfortable, and I'm saying that for parents who have respected their kids and for parents who don't know, if your child say, "Mommy, I don't want to go over there," your child may not be able to explain the reasons of why,
Mm-hmm.
but can you
Mm-hmm.
please respect your child? And for those parents who are fighting for their kids, let me say this, and I'll say it openly. Can you, all right, all right, nephew, be safe, please. He's on his way to work out.
Bye.
But can you please, for the life, stop telling your child you're going to go do this because I said so. And nobody knows how that child feels. Give that child back their
Mhm.
voice. And I'm not saying get a child back their voice and then they can talk and cuss you out. That's not what I'm saying. By all means, I wish CPS would sit down somewhere when it comes to people that does rightfully parenting.
Mhm.
I wish CPS
Mhm.
would go sit down and deal with the abuser. I wish they would actually deal with that and stop fucking with people because you discipline your child because your child can't call you a bitch.
Right.
Because your child can't call you out your name.
Right.
Stop that shit too. Let these parents raise their kids. But at the same
Mhm.
time, stop giving the abuser this great old white big to do what they want to do.
Mhm.
Stop it.
Well, there's a huge difference between discipline and abuse. You
Yeah,
know, discipline can be enforced, and I really even hate using that word, but discipline can be enacted. There we go. There, I feel a little more comfortable. Discipline can be enacted without having it be abusive,
right.
you
I
know?
don't have to
And
put you in the hospital to get you to listen.
right, right.
I don't have to damn near, let me put it like this. Sweet don't mean no harm. I don't mean no harm. You ain't supposed to take a pillow. You ain't supposed to just throw, no disrespect. You ain't supposed to throw no dishes at no 5-year-old. Okay, don't
No,
be
God,
swinging the
no.
dishes. Don't be swinging the. Put it like this. Please do not beat your child like it's a dude out there in the middle of the street. Your child is a child. Please remember that. Stop beating your child like the motherfucker's grown. I understand a child can listen. A child can piss you off. And when your child, exactly, when your child go to tell you something and they say, Mommy, this is why I don't feel comfortable because this happened, that happened. Listen to you, baby. Stop just passing your baby off like your baby ain't shit.
Right. Well, and
Stop.
also, I'm first, let me preface it. I'm not a parent, so I really,
Oh, me neither. Me neither, but I
you
raised
know,
quite a few.
but also understand that your child also has their own thoughts, feelings, and sometimes they are having a bad day too. Kids have bad days too, just like
Yeah,
we have bad days. And
yeah.
there's days where we're tired, and there's days where it's so much sensory overload that it just feels like a fucking meltdown, man. And
True.
so
Like
understand
like
that,
she was
you
saying,
know?
use Deja. She sent me a message of what her baby said. Her baby like to bite, okay? Did you get on that baby nerve? That baby gonna yum yum. You becoming a new meal, okay? You gonna get bit because that baby get tired. But it's true from being a kid and from being a kid that has been raped, from being a kid that has been through abuse, has been through some shit. Listen to your child. Because the child ain't saying that for nothing. I've raised my share. I was a gang leader. You know how many times you have to raise a boy into a man and then a man from being a boy? Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But put it this way, the kids that lived where I lived at, without saying any names, they in successful marriages now because I had that talk. I may not have understood a lot. And don't get me wrong, yes, parents raised you from where they were at. Because back
Mm-hmm.
then, they was told to sweep a lot of stuff under the rug. So you have to
Yep.
give them credit for breaking curses too, for breaking generational curses. But stop getting it. Also, stop getting mad at these babies that have gotten grown and they're tired of sweeping this shit under the rug. Stop making people the black sheep of your family because
Mm-hmm.
now they're telling you the truth of what the fuck really happened.
Mm-hmm.
Stop doing that. Because they were saying, what go on in my house stays in my house. You don't tell nobody what happened in here. You don't run your mouth. Hey, I don't mean no harm, no disrespect. Cut that. Just tell the truth. Cut it.
And
because
I want to say
now,
this, CPS is extremely corrupt. The whole adoption and foster and the whole the defense family, whatever they call it, it is all corrupt.
mhm,
It does nothing but traumatizes children. It does nothing but traumatizes families. It
mhm,
puts children in the hands of abusers 10 times worse than they probably even had at home.
truth.
It creates, I hate CPS beyond all measure. It is legal kidnapping. It is
Mhm,
legal human trafficking. It is disgusting.
mhm. Because
Disgusting.
they will protect the one that's beating the hell out the child before they protect the parent that loves their child and that's trying to raise their child to the best of their ability.
It's on Netflix, but it's called The Trial of Gabriel Fernandez. And I
Mhm,
need to preface it by please, please guard your heart when you watch it, because it is about a 7-year-old little boy that was tortured and beat to death by his mother and her boyfriend. And
mhm,
it was the direct responsibility of CPS. CPS knew, his teachers begged them to do something. They did
and they did
nothing.
not.
They
They
did
did nothing.
nothing.
I watched some of that trial. They did nothing. I couldn't watch all of it
I
because it messed with my
I
PTSD.
pour libations out for that little boy because he had no one.
Mhm.
He had
And
no
that's all
one.
I'm saying. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Please, if nothing else, respect your child. I'm not saying you have to put up with your child talking back to you.
Right?
By no means am I saying that. But what I'm saying is, if your child says, I don't feel comfortable, or that person doesn't treat me like they do the other kids, or
Mhm.
that person treats me different, or they talk to me different. And I'm going to say this to the teachers in school. Yes, baby, you have a hard job. I'm glad I don't have no kids this day and time. Because if you shave my kid head because you didn't like the hairstyle and you didn't like
No.
something they did, you will get your ass whoa. You wouldn't have to worry about the students with me. Don't cut nothing on a child's head and
No.
you're not the
Oh my
one that grew the hair.
God.
Because I literally saw that shit too. That bothered me. And the spirit was like, don't forget to bring this up. So that's why I brought it up. Because it was like, So I'm going to be real. Teachers, if you have kids and if you don't have kids, you got nieces and nephews, you don't cut their fucking head. Why the fuck are you messing with somebody else's child? I get it. You think it promotes gangs. You don't even know the heritage. Just like the indigenous young man. Y'all cut his hair. And it was representing his tribe. It was representing his heritage. That was the reason for the hairstyle. If you don't ask, you don't learn. Stop doing what you don't want done to your kid.
Yeah. No shit. No
Cut it.
shit.
And
You
as my
know?
right, as my grandmother say, cut it the entire fuck out and off.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I love my parents dearly. And if my mom or anybody that knows my family is watching this, please don't take this the wrong way. But when I was in preschool, the preschool I went to got in trouble because they were hitting the kids. And when they asked me, do you get spanked at daycare? I said, yeah, because we're bad. Do you want to know why? Because I got spanked at home. Because that's what I was taught was
Mm-hmm.
discipline. If you break the rules, you get spanked. So my
Mm-hmm.
parents were like horrified that somebody else put their hands on me and other kids. But in
Mm-hmm.
my head, I was like, okay, I was bad. there was my mom's mom interviewed me on tape, the cassette tape, and I listened to it once, and like I was so very matter of fact, and she was like, "Did they hit you?" And I said, "Yeah, sometimes when the kids were bad, when we were bad, we got spanked, duh." Like that was like my reaction to her was like, "Duh."
Mm-hmm.
So don't remember that what you teach at home may translate, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to that. You know, like I was just like, okay. Like, you know,
Right.
this is total interrogation from my Mima. And like, I think I was like 5 years old, and I was just like, yep, that's exactly what happened. You know, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know any better. I don't remember being spanked at daycare. I remember being taken out of the daycare. I remember my parents being upset, but I don't remember the actual physicality of it happening. Yeah, and the only reason I
Mm-hmm.
know is because I ran across the cassette tape because God bless my Mima, she thought, I don't know, let me tape record the interrogation of this child. Oh, Mima, I love you. But, you know, also other kids. If your kids aren't comfortable around other kids, listen to them, because that's
Mm-hmm.
something else that's not talked about is unfortunately the abuse that other children inflict on other children, because that is a learned
Ooh,
behavior.
honey. Woo.
You know, nobody
Oh.
talks about the abuse that a 10-year-old little girl who is being abused at home goes on
Mm-hmm.
to abuse the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 7-year-old, the 8-year-old, because she doesn't know any better, or they don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that learned behavior. You know, talk to
Mm-hmm.
your kids about that too. I think Sue said that no means no when they're 2. Teaching them about these things. You may think that, oh, they're too young. No, they're not.
Yeah.
And they
They
need
know
to
what they're
know
saying. Exactly. And
that,
that's what I
you
mean.
know,
Don't
it,
take their
it's
voice away.
right. You
Don't.
know, I mean, you know, thankfully I never had, you know, well, I was bullied as a kid and I was picked on as a kid, but again, that's learned behavior, you know, and, you know, it's just, it, I mean, bullying is different. Bullying is different. Absolutely. I feel like bullying is different. It's still abuse. It's
Yes,
still a learned behavior,
right.
you know, but it's very different than the 10-year-old that has been molested by somebody in their life going on to perpetrate that cycle of abuse. And it's not talked about, you know. And does the 10-year-old child know any better? No, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But are they perpetrating something? Are they perpetrating that cycle of
Mm-hmm.
abuse? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are. And in
Because they
that
don't know
moment,
how to
are they the
process it.
abuser? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
devastating.
just like Willow said about her child, uh, the dad whooped the child who stood up for himself. Um, this the thing that bothers me, and I'm going to say this, and it truly bothers me. Sometimes I wonder, um, with the school, with you know, with everything, we are
Mm-hmm.
quick to tell a child that they're bad, that they're this right, and then you start noticing that the child has abandonment issues, anger problems. You start seeing narcissistic patterns. You start seeing abusive patterns. You start seeing different things. But this is what people don't want to address. They don't want to ask the child, "Hey, where did this happen to you at?" Did
Right.
I do this to you? Did
Right.
someone else do this to you? And see, until you can have that tough conversation, because I'm gonna tell you something. This is how some of us became, and I'm gonna say the word, fucked up adults, and had to learn how to heal and not to become a part of these atmospheres, because no one taught us how to break a cycle that we inflicted.
Right.
Because bullies do grow up. Like, you have kids that have committed suicide from being bullied. And the question that I had to ask, even then, they got bullying from somewhere else. So
Yep.
who taught them how to bully?
Right.
Who taught them how to come and do that to a kid? Who
Right.
taught them? And then on top of that, stop getting mad because the parent got their child a therapist, or the parent got their child some help. Stop getting mad at them and telling them, you're wrong, a child don't have any feelings and you shouldn't be doing it. Shut your ass up and let that child get that healing.
The first time I thought seriously about killing myself, I was 12 years old. I was 12.
Same here. I was younger, about 7, when I wanted to take my life, because I was getting the hell beat out of me and nobody wanted to listen.
Right. Right.
It told me that I was a liar. It told me that I was a habitual liar. What was the point of believing me? And then when they found out, when I turned 18, that all these things was true, I remember we played a game. It's called Truth. It was just called Truth. We didn't have no dare. So it was, you asked as many questions as you could before you tap out, because you couldn't stand that truth. And so they were asking me, are you the leader of a game? I'm like, yeah, because now when they first started asking the questions, this is how I found out what everybody's judgment was of me from a child on up, because of the type of questions. Have you ever murdered anybody? Have you ever been to jail? I was like, no. You have a criminal record? No. But when people ask you these type of questions, this is how you know what they feel. And so when it got down to, were you ever abused? And I said, yes. When they say, who abused you? And I said, they're in this room. Now you should have seen the shock. People were tapping out. Can't ask no more. 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 And first thing I thought to myself, when you found out, one of the abusers sat at the table, have you ever raped somebody? The abuser, yes. Are they in this room? Yes. Matter of fact, I'm sitting next to them, and they have a gun to my hip right now, which I did. I'm not going to lie. I had a gun to the guy's hip. I knew I was going to hurt him. It was my birthday. Yeah, I was going to get him. He wasn't leaving that night. He was taking a well-whooped ass that night. He wasn't leaving that night. But my point is, because no one dealt with it with me, that was my result.
Right.
I showed up with members of a gang that I was in.
Yeah.
To a family function. I showed up healed.
Because that's the only choice you had at that point in time. And this is, I'm very vocal about it. I'm in therapy, and I love my therapist, and she had me get this audio book called The Body Remembers. And it's talking about trauma. I'm getting through it very slowly because it's processing it is very heavy. And one of the things that it talks about is our brain is an organ.
Truth.
And our brain is part of our body. And much like our bodies, what happens when our bodies are put under strain or pressure? They break. They start to do things.
They start to show things.
When our brains are subjected to the amounts of trauma and abuse over and over and over again, it does something physically to our brains.
And that's why we can't regulate our emotions. That's why so many things happen. You know, I mean, we talk about treating bodies that get sick. Oh, you have a, I don't know, I say Crohn's because that's what's coming to my brain right now. You have Crohn's disease. You know, oh, you need to get on something. You have a treatment plan. You start to treat the disease. We don't treat our brains.
Exactly.
And why? I don't know. I don't know why. You know, but something else that they talk about trauma is, yes, there's the trauma that was inflicted on us, and yes, there is the trauma that we inflict on others because of our own fucking trauma.
Truth. Talk about it. Talk about
You
it.
know, and that is traumatic. To know that I have done things to people or even to myself, the what I put myself through in my own abusive relationship is, you know, that's humiliating to me myself. That is humiliating, that I would allow myself. And it's like, no, you did what you had to do to survive, to get by, to do what you needed to do.
Truth.
You know, and that's why, you know, Anthony said mental health 100%. You know, I mean, of course, you know, everybody wants to, you know, everyone wants to talk about the shooter. Oh, he had mental illness. Of course he fucking had mental illness, bro. You have to be mentally ill to kill with somebody. I'm sorry.
Right.
I think that was a no fucking brainer.
Innocent people? Right.
Right. No shit.
Something has to be going on.
Right. Of course they're mentally fucking ill. Duh. Sorry, not sorry. No shit, Sherlock.
Right.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. Like, give me a fucking break, dude.
That was the first
why was there mental illness to begin with? What happened? What happened?
Right.
They didn't do a damn thing to help that young man. They didn't do a damn thing. And something else that got brought up, you know, he was 18 years old. He lived in school at a time where they did these shooter drills that they do now. You and I didn't have that at school, to where we did active shooter drills, to where we pretended that there was a shooter on campus and we hid or we did that. We had fucking fire drills. Let's pretend there's a fire in the school and do a fire drill. But what these newer generations had are active shooter drills. So he knew how the school would respond if he started to do it, because he was taught, because they taught him. You know, and there have been I don't know the credibility, but there are people that are saying, I went to high school with this dude and he was a bully. He was a bully. He didn't get bullied. He was a bully. He was a creep.
You have to ask the question, what was he taught at home?
Right.
Because I'm going to be honest. People can say what they want. You shoot 10 black people, someone taught you to hate a particular race and to say they don't need to be on the earth. Someone taught you that. Kobe didn't teach you that. Someone taught you that.
Yeah, 100%. Homie had a whole manifesto, dude. Like, hello.
Right.
You know? And so funnily, like, I was explaining this to a family friend of mine. Within the left, because I consider myself an anarchist, but within the liberal left community, there really is a point where you circle so far left that you end up in the alt-right.
Mm-hmm.
and you end up, and I was explaining to a friend that I was going down that very same path about
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to a point, so Sandy Hook was actually the wake up call for me. When they started saying that Sandy Hook was fake and that these children didn't die and that these parents who were going on the news and crying and grieving weren't real parents and they really didn't lose their children, I started to be like, I don't know about all that. And then the topper, the cherry on top that got me to be like, nope, I'm done with this. I'm done with conspiracy theory. I'm done with all this bullshit. One of the conspiracy theories is that the Holocaust was perpetrated by a different group of Jewish people.
What?
Yes, that there was a elite group of Jewish people that wanted to essentially kill a different group of Jewish people. And I remember.
Pardon me, but I don't think that they discriminated in who they shot, or burned, or maimed, or
So
killed.
I'm like, I remember I looked at my ex-husband and I was like, okay, wait. Wait. So did they really just say that the Jews themselves were responsible for their own Holocaust?
No way possible.
What? Like I couldn't anymore. And I stopped being a part of the online communities that I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't think my ex-husband did stop. I can't confirm that, so don't fucking come for me if you're one of his fucking shitty ass relatives, okay? Don't come for me, even though we all know where your fucking bread is buttered on, okay? Anyways, sorry, not sorry. Anyways, but it was really like, man, it's yeah, I'm not, I had to really step back because, you know, it's, I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it.
Hold up, y'all. I gotta back up just a little. I
Mm-hmm.
was reading that he had said that some chicken shit. I hope all the sworn-in officers face the full extent of their karma for the innocent children. Oh, they will. They will. And here's the sad part: people don't think about that. That whatever you sow, you got to reap.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of stuff. I am so glad that the gods are who they are. Because I tell you, I'm so glad that I'm not a god. Good evening. Good evening. I'm glad that
evening.
I'm not. I promise you, I'm glad. And let me tell you why. Because you be listen. You be thinking, Raven. I be them. You be thinking. You would have thought to do something. See, that's why I'm glad that I'm not. Because a lot of stuff I really can't stomach. I know people have $1,000,000 questions as to why does this happen? Why does that happen? But we also forget free will.
Mm-hmm.
We also forget, like you said, the mind, mental health. I was going to say this before I said this, so I'm gonna pause and say this. See, what you described was a deep part of Rique. Can't never say it right. My English ain't that great. You can tell where the American stops. But there's a deep seed healing that I wish that everybody could do outside of ayahuasca, because some people can't take ayahuasca.
Right.
Ayahuasca is one of those paths to where, okay, if your health ain't in order and you
Right.
ain't got your stuff straight, yeah, you're a coma. Because
Yeah.
that's some deep shadow work. I wish that everybody would get into a place where they can listen to their mind, their body, to where their body
Mm-hmm.
can tell them. Because like you said, the stress level that we put on our body from mental
Mm-hmm.
abuse, abusing us, it is a hell of a level and a hell of a stress. Most people don't even know some of the sicknesses and some things are generated. Have you ever been just sitting and you had a sharp pain,
Yeah.
but you remember that you just got pissed off about something that happened 2 seconds ago, but then
Mm-hmm.
you have a sharp pain? That is your body reacting to
Mm-hmm.
what the hell just happened.
Yep.
And see, when you, like you said, when you deal with abuse, a lot of us don't get that our body will tell us, our brain.
Yes.
Um, it's not just our subconscious that will tell us, but I will tell you this: you can, uh, sis Willow calls it sleep in a room. Like imagining that your mind, your subconscious is a room, and you're sleeping all the negativity out of the
Ooh, I
room.
like that.
And yeah, this was hers, so I'm going to give credit where credit is due. This is Willow's.
I do. I
And
like that.
when you sweep, you clean the walls. You literally clean the walls. You literally get the floorboards. You get the headboards. You get everything in the room, and you clean it out. Now, in the
Mm-hmm.
process, you still gonna have some work to do because there are some things you're gonna throw out that you're gonna see that you have to heal from. You're gonna see that you need to let go in this area. You're gonna see you need to let go. You're gonna see that some of that you thought wasn't negative was negativity. I
Mm-hmm.
actually did it and it worked. Now me, I'm big on meditation. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what I have to do in the middle of my goddamn meditations is remember not to invoke.
Ah,
I have to remember not to invoke. But in the meditations, um, if you speak to your mind, you speak to your heart, speak to every part of your body. I think this is another
mhm.
thing that me and Willow discussed. I think that night it was Petty J as well. We all was discussing different styles of meditation. And for me, I speak of relaxed because I was telling them I couldn't do guided meditations. Some people boys just get on my fucking nerves. So I can't do guided meditations. So for me, I speak to my body and I say, hey, it's okay. We're gonna relax. We're gonna breathe in. We're gonna breathe out. We're gonna
Mhm.
calm. We're gonna unwind from the day. So when I first started Spiritual Beings, this was pretty much what this page was gonna be. Then Spirit decided, oh no, you're gonna put everything on here. Uh, Even to the point to where Facebook kind of, like blocked me on my Rude Boy page.
Mhm.
And but I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you something else about Spirit. Spirit will remind you of a word that you got. You and E5. Good evening, family. Good evening.
Good
You and E5
evening.
did a lot. Yeah, you and E5. And she told me. She said, "Hey, Rude Boy." And she was telling me I was behind in my work, and she was telling me you are
Mhm.
your ego said you are doing it all wrong. You're supposed to be create a page and do it on there. You're supposed to do all your spiritual stuff on there and your spiritual posting. And so this is how I ended up having to do this page. But when this page started, it was supposed to be a meditation for those type of healings. Like my next few lives will be triggering as fuck. Hello, will be triggering as fuck. And the reason why they'll be
I know.
triggering is
I know.
because we have to deal with this mind, the things that we're doing to our body, the things that we are saying to ourselves, and some of the body languages we don't even realize we're saying it. Tell you the truth, like you said, didn't know we were carrying out certain abusive patterns.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
for it, my temper is pretty bad. Everybody says I'm humble, but I am the quietest angry person you will ever meet. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. I will say to you, oh yeah, and I will listen to what you say with a smile on my face, and I will leave your presence, and I will literally go for my altar and say, mm, let me tell you something I don't like. And I will tell them, and I will say at the beginning, because you have to say it, I've just vented, but I will tell them, let me tell you, I don't appreciate how that person treated that person. I don't appreciate this, I don't appreciate that. You see what I'm saying? I will let them know. And one of the things that Spirit had to tell me, you're calm. You just learn how to hold your water. And he says there's some things like when my PTSD got triggered, I think I talked about it last week. He was telling me, see, these are the things that you have to heal from. Your inner way you will snap. And so I had to learn, especially when I got triggered. I'll open up a workshop on this. I'm still working on what day. Matter of fact, I'll sit down with my that's a low eye, and I will have that talk about, because people don't know, even in your PTSD, even in your mental state, there is a place where you can release in the middle if you see it as a healing. See it as something to be released or let go of. Because a lot of stuff that we make a mistake at, we don't see the patterns because we didn't catch the message.
Right.
How come sometimes we miss it, like our conversation, we miss it in children, you miss it in people. Because the question that I have is just like the young man that did the shooting. The question you have to ask, who missed the message in that young man and let him leave out that door? Who didn't hear? Because I'm quite sure he said some fucked up shit. I'm quite sure. Who didn't stop him when he said it? Who didn't tell him, hey, that's wrong what you think? Who did he look up to that did not say it? Who did he honor that did not give him the same honor in telling him the truth that that's not right? Because a lot of times it is always someone that heard your cry and ignored it, regardless to how you said it. There's always that one person that heard you or saw the signs but didn't say a word. And so, like you said, these are the things that I do in this workshop, would love to deal with, because a lot of times we don't see.
No.
A lot of times we don't take the.
Well, and something that's, I mean, people are starting to talk about it, is the generational trauma that gets passed on. I know that it's something that is kind of catching wind now and gaining steam within the community. But, I mean, if you come from literally nothing but abuse, if you come from women who have been abused and mistreated, we literally share the DNA of our ancestors. Do you really think that that's not in there too? That shit isn't in there?
It's in there because
this
is one of the reasons why we got to break generational curses. Our ancestors still need a healing. Let's be honest, because they didn't deal with everything on this earth.
That's
you can't
right.
Tell me they left it all here.
Yep.
There's things that were still for them.
One of the things, yes, my love, I know everyone knows you're here and wants love.
Hello.
Yeah.
We see you, love.
Yeah. Hi, Salem. Say hi, Salem. Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Hello.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, who is that?
She's like, please stop, dear God. But, if you have that deep inside you, and like, I know for myself, like, I'm childless. That's how I break these generational curses in my family, is by not having a child.
except for this one. She's got she's got ears and 4 legs. That's my child. And you know, my sister doesn't have any children either, and her and I have talked about it, and she's asked, do you think that's how we are at least stopping some of it by not having children? Fixing it, yes, but not having children, yes, 100%. Heal the trauma, fix it within ourselves. Yes. Oh no, I know that. Absolutely. Spiritually I can, absolutely. And I do know that. But blood children, actual physical from my DNA, from my family's DNA, we stop that. We stop it. Because I don't want it. I don't want.
I'm gonna be honest. In ways, yes, you stopped it, but you also have to remember the work in you as well. The work in you.
Oh yeah. Oh no. No.
I don't have any physical children. She said, I always make sure that my children are mentally okay. They are first before. Gotta say that, family. Gotta say that.
Yep.
Because even though I don't have any physical children, you can't be some of my kids saying they're my kids. You can't beat them.
Willow, that inner child, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, that inner child.
I gotta parent her all the time. I gotta be the parent that I didn't get always. You know, I love my parents dearly, but they were children that had children.
And they didn't know the way. Sometimes they don't know the other way. They just know what they were taught. They pass it down.
Yep. You know, my sister
had that relationship physically.
Yep, my sister was, you know, took a brunt of the child raising responsibility on. And she should not have had to, because she was my older sister. She should have just been my older sister. She shouldn't have needed to parent me, but she did.
But you know what? It's funny you say that. I think that has happened across the board. With siblings, that the older sibling always gets stuck with the kids. Now me, I wasn't the older, but I always got stuck with somebody goddamn kid for some reason. She said my mother is a straight narcissist. It is always about, oh my God. Oh, I could write you a book. But wait a minute. There's a question being asked to you, Lizzie. I feel I didn't have a mother. Then I got custody of 2 kids for a while. Now I have a son. Just thinking it and still, damn, it took off. Sorry, I had to go back and get it. It's still yeah, I feel parenting me. And see, that's same thing with the inner child. I have to hug my inner child, and I do have God. And let me be honest, the hardest thing to ever do is to have to tell somebody they have to learn how to relove.
Right.
That's the hardest thing, especially, and you know what it took for you to learn what love really is. Love doesn't have a condition on it. Real love doesn't. I believe in the Hebrew is agape, but there is an philios. Philios is, as we were talking about earlier, about, you know, if you don't give me this, then I won't give you that. You give me this, I give you that. I may love you today, but I may not love you tomorrow. It's a sometime type of love. But agape, it doesn't rejoice when you fall. It doesn't rejoice in your fall. Now, don't get love wrong, because love will tell you the truth. And for everybody that say love is blind, no the hell love ain't. Love ain't blind. Love see you just fine.
Yep.
Love will
Yep.
see you, and if your behaviors are abusive, love will tell you, and love will tell you, I will step back
Hmm.
to let you do that work of dealing with that. I will hold that mirror for you. But love will tell you, I ain't no punching bag.
Codependence is blind. That's what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people have confused love with codependence.
And see,
And
love
that's
don't
just
real
not what it is.
right,
You
and
know,
love doesn't
I, no,
agree with
I mean,
everything you say because you said it.
right. And not only, not only that, I mean, you know, I, I try to be very careful about what I say about my ex-husband on here, just because, but we had only been together for maybe 2 weeks when I really started, when he showed me who he really was.
Mm-hmm.
And he got angry, not at me, at somebody else. He got angry, threw his shirt down on the ground, and punched a wall right in front of me. And I remember I stood there and I went, oh no. But I was also 19 years old. So what did I do? I dismissed it. I convinced myself that we were both 19 years old and that we were still regulating our emotions, and that, maybe it wasn't what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And had I been taught differently about that, had I been taught, oh, no, 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 no. He just displayed violence because he was told no by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Walk away. Walk away. This is not oh, let me rationalize it. Oh, let me minimize it. No, walk away. And within 2 years from that event, well, actually, a month later, he got put in a psychiatric, he didn't stay there overnight. They let him go, but he got hauled off because I told him no. He freaked out. I left, and he tried to kill himself.
Oh wow! So you had abandonment
And
issues on top of anger issues
I
and
let
violence.
him blame me. Oh, I let him blame me because of course it was my fault. Of course it was. I hurt his feelings. I did this. I did that. Even his dad told you that it was my fault. So, at 19 years old, coming from unfortunately, the unstable home environment I had because my parents were toxic, I thought, well, yeah, of course it was my fault. God. If I had maybe just been a little nicer, or maybe had just listened to him instead of saying, no, 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 no. He's 19 years old, grown ass fucking man, or semi-grown man at that point. Why did he take a kitchen knife out and take it to his arms? But no, it's my fault. It's my fault. And you know what? I spent 13 years. I spent 13 years minimizing, rationalizing his bullshit behavior. After those 2 incidents, it was 2 years. No, it was only a year. It was a year and a half. That's right. It was a year and a half. He choke slammed me because I wanted to go to, I had just started paganism. I had just started to do this. We were having a festival. I wanted to go. He didn't want to go. I got upset. And so his response was to choke slam me. Oh, Lord. I know, baby. I know. I'm sure he would tell that story very differently. I'm sure he would. And a part of me is curious to hear How? Oh, because actually, I already know. He told me I provoked him. He told me that because I used to self-harm, that I provoked him enough so he would physically harm me so I didn't have to harm myself. And I believed that shit, man. I believed that shit.
Wow.
I believed that. You know? And I mean, now I go, oh my God, bro. Dude. You don't know. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, dude. Like, nothing I had ever done or would ever do could have warranted him responding that way.
Any of that. Truth.
Yes. Oh, Anthony, honey, it was before your time. It was still when I was in training. Apparently because I got so angry, you know, because he didn't want to go and go to the festival, you know, and I cried. Because, you know, damn me for crying. Oh, good God. Yeah. No, man. I mean, you know, I'm still getting to the point where I say I wish him the best. Because I kind of don't.
I can understand. I definitely can understand because of
you know, and not even in his defense.
Like for 5 years.
Right. You know, and not even, and this is not in his defense, but that was learned behavior from him too. I know who taught him to do that. I know that. I know who taught him to do that. And it was his father. Fuck you, Les. Yeah, I'll put your ass on blast, you dirty motherfucker, pervert. Anyways, so, you know, and yes, a total narcissist, absolutely. I don't like to use that word, and I don't, of course, in my heart, I'm like, no, I don't, maybe, no, 100%, 100% narcissist, like 100%. The last thing he ever said to me was, you know that I am hard to love, and you know that you do things that make it more difficult for you to love me. And I was sitting there smoking a cigarette, and I said, oh my God. Did you not just hear what came out of your mouth? Did you listen to yourself? I'm sorry, that is the most fucked up thing I think I've ever heard. We're so done. I'm done. I got up and walked I walked away. Because I literally, it was like how everything had just come, like like horse blinders off, wool no longer over the eye, you know. Yes, Willow, complete mind fuckery. That is like, you know, in 2 years prior to that, I would have been crying and saying, I know, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You know, but I forgive myself. I do. I forgive myself because I didn't know any better. I know better now, so I do better now, you know. I talk to my inner child. I talk to that inner 19-year-old. Yeah. You know, and that's something, that's a speaking of inner child, you know.
I'm glad y'all took y'all power back.
Thank you. I'm glad I took it back too. Because man, but you know, your inner teenager, you know, people neglect that inner teenager, and it was the eclipse. So it was the eclipse, and I found some poetry I wrote as a teenager of like suicide and wanting to die. I was 14. I dated it. October 8th, 1997. I dated it. So I was 14 years old when I wrote that.
Mm.
And so I found it and I was like, oh, hell no. We are burning this tonight. So I sat outside with my cauldron. I lit a clove cigarette because as a 14-year-old, I loved me a clove cigarette.
Okay.
And I called my 14-year-old self up. And I said, hey.
How you doing?
And she said, what are we doing? I said, oh, we're getting rid of this fuck shit. We're getting rid of this fuck shit. And she looked at me and she said, are we really this cool? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, your head's shaved and you got a tattoo and you're on your own back patio and you got a cauldron and you're a real witch like in the Craft. And I said, oh, yeah, we are this cool. We are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she went, wow. I said, so do you understand why we're burning this fuck shit? Like, do you understand? Do you understand that wanting to die is not, like, that's not an aesthetic, dude. It's not an aesthetic we should have anymore, okay?
Mm-hmm. We gonna let that go.
We don't want it. Because we're cool. Look at us. And she was like, whoa. And I was like, you know, we're gay too, right? Like, you know, we're big lesbians, right? Like, it's a thing, right? And she was like, yeah, I know we are. And I said, okay, cool. So you ready? Are you ready? And I burnt a whole bunch of shit that night. And
I know that feeling. I know that feeling because I did the same thing. I did it to my 5-year-old self. My 5-year-old said, did you learn to embrace your fucking gift yet? I said, yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, let's do it. That's all I wanted to know.
No, seriously, Willow. Yeah. So in my 14-year-old, you know, I was the goth girl, you know, white face, painted on eyebrows, you know, mistress of darkness.
With the black nails. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I had to have my clove cigarettes, you know. Had to have a cigarette as dark as I was, you know, and I told her, I said, look, man, we're still a goth queen. Like, we're still this. We don't have to be a certain way, but we're still this. We still have our clove cigarettes, you know. We got a big-ass tattoo across our chest. We have our head shaved. We have our own, you know, yes, this whole back patio is ours. We come out here, we smoke our weed, we have fun.
I had to tell mine, hey, we went from skull rings to having skulls on the altar, man.
That's right.
Skull.
That's right.
Like,
I graduated in 01. I don't mind my age. I'm 39. I just turned 39.
See,
I graduated in 01.
I graduated in 94. So we still right there.
Oh, okay. So Willow, you know, yep, same age group. So you were right there. You remember the 90s goths. You know, we were, you know, we were in our own. You know. You know,
you had the Victorian goth. You had the
you know,
vintage goth. Yeah.
See, yeah. Exactly. Your eyeball ring. Yeah. No. Yeah. I used to carry a lunchbox with incense, weed, and toys in there because, you know, people were like, what's in the lunchbox? And I'd be like, toys. And they'd be like, and I'd open it up and they'd be like, oh my God, you really have toys in here? Yeah, dude, I do. And they'd be like, you're a weird chick. I know, bro. I know.
That was me.
I know.
I know I'm fucking weird.
I know. So are we gonna smoke weed or what? Like, dude.
Are we gonna get lit or not? Are we gonna get drunk or not?
You know. What are we doing? You want to drink? No, man. I'm a stoner.
Have you ever had yourself to ask you, hey, do you still smoke weed? Yeah, with cigars.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm still.
No.
Lit.
Yeah.
I'm still,
See, I was a goth girl for a real long time. Real long
mhm.
time. She's still there. I
I'm
still
still
listen to the
sitting by.
music, you know?
I'm
Hmm?
still a bit of guy. I still wear my black. I'm still God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No. I do. The the keyboardist of Depeche Mode died yesterday and I got real sad because that
that
just
was my
means
good
that all the
cousin.
other goth people are gonna die soon too. And it's like, oh man. Hey man, you know, it was so funny because I went to high school in Las Vegas. And I'm from Las
Oh,
Vegas. And, not only did I go to high school in Vegas, but I went to high school in North Las Vegas. And North Las Vegas is predominantly Black. And, you know, I remember like I'd be like, they'd be like, are you cool? And I'd be like, yeah, dude, yeah, no, I just look really scary. I just look scary, but I'm fine. Like I'm fine, And some of the best friends I had were, what would be considered, the gangster dudes that, were perpetrating some shit. I don't know. We just smoked weed. Like, you know, I remember one time we were getting stoned and these skater kids started throwing rocks at me. And like all of a sudden I hear spooky bitch and all of a sudden these rocks came and we were all like, the fuck, dude? Where are rocks coming from? So we go out from
oh,
behind our trailers and it's just some white boys being stupid.
mhm.
And like, I remember I looked at them and I was like, dude, I smoked you out last week. Why are you being so mean to me? And one of the guys,
Oh
he was
wow.
like, don't worry about it. We got it. And he stepped up and the boys just stopped and he's like, you want to buy weed? And they were like, yeah. And they were like, well, you can't buy it from me anymore. You fuck with her, you fuck with me. And I was like, so they did. The boys got cut off. Like a few weeks later, they came and they were like, hey, can you talk to your friends? And I was like, fuck you.
That's how
Fuck
they do when they
you,
try to get
man.
feedback. That's
Yeah,
how they do.
no. Just so you
See,
can know, dude. You were mean to me. Like, I'm sorry,
right.
But no, I did. I it's called
Yeah.
catnip. That's
I'm
fucking
I'm
funny,
reading the
dude.
comments while we talking. I'm like, oh, see,
Yeah.
see.
No. Man, I had some we had some gangster dudes. One time we convinced them like because nobody had any water. All we had was Sunny D. And they were like, nah, we're not putting that in the bong. And we were like, dude, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. Just put Sunny D in the bong. And they were like, you like girls are kind of crazy. And we were like, oh yeah, no, absolutely. But let's put some Sunny D in the bong. Man, it was smooth as hell. I have not put Sunny D in a bong as an adult, but I kind of want to
I
now.
gotta try. I gotta try that. See, you done started something. I gotta try that. I gotta try that. At least one fucking time. I gotta try.
Tomorrow I'm gonna go out and buy a bottle of Sunny D and then come back home and put it in my.
See, you done started some shit. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that, and I'm gonna let you know.
Hey man,
Y'all look
that
up and
was
I'm on a live and I'm passed the fuck out. Blame Lizzie. Blame Lizzie
that
because it was a Sunny D that probably did it.
man. I'm so I've said this like I was so grateful for being able to not have what would be considered like a traditional school experience. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, they're weird sometimes, but no, like, I'm so grateful that I hung out with the people that I did because it gave me perspective and
Yeah.
it made me realize, like, oh, there's a lot more going on than I think there is, huh?
Yeah.
you know,
I feel you.
Because, you know, when in the times where I did come back to California, because that's where my mom lived, you know, going to these California white schools, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are boring, dude. God, this sucks here. Like, everyone would be like, where you from? Be like, Las Vegas, where it's cool. When would you look at all you white people? White faces with your fucking blonde hair and blue-eyed Aryan nation. Fuck you. I hate it here.
Oh wait, we so goddamn little kids.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm pretty sure as a little kid I bought catnip one time. I did. I did. So one of the boys in middle high school, he sold me some weed. And I remember I was so excited. I came home. I told my sister, I was like, look, I bought weed. And she opened it and she started laughing. And she went, oh, my God, dude, no, you didn't. You bought catnip and pocket lint, dude.
Damn.
Yeah.
How much you pay for it? How much you pay for it?
$5. Just $5, you know. I thought I was getting a little nickel bag, you know, yeah. I thought I was getting a little nickel bag. No.
She said they kept coming back. What the? No.
Yeah, because the placebo effect, dude. They probably were like, I'm getting so stoned right now. The mind is a powerful thing, dude. You had them kids convinced they were going, and I guarantee you. See, I didn't know that, my friend, okay?
Exactly.
I was 12 years old, all right, and I thought it was a trustworthy source. And I was also really scared because we were at school and I didn't want to go to jail because I convinced myself I was going to go to jail for buying weed. But yeah, my sister laughed her ass off and was like, man, you got played, dude. You got played.
I hope none of them had cats, because I know the cat was like, bruh, for real. I know the cat was like, bruh, that's to get me high. That's not you. That's my high. Sure, the cat was thinking that, but I you know what? To be honest, I've made those mistakes myself. That it was they didn't get me with the catnip. It was oregano that they got me with. Oregano with sage, lavender, and some fucking else.
See, now if you could mix that in with your weed, and it actually would probably be really good.
Oh, it is. Just saying, it really is. But you know, put the herb in the blunt, yeah. With
right,
the weed,
right.
yeah. Make sure you do it with Kush. Please do not do it with loud. It's just gonna make you loud as hell and rude as fuck. Don't do it with no. Please get the Kush. Kush. No. Right.
These little catnip cigarettes. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Fuck them kids up. Got the cat looking crazy.
Yeah.
But if you decide to put lavender in there, please get the Kush. It'll leave you with a level mind. Do not get the loud. It's just gonna make you loud, and you see shit. You ain't gonna be no good in just a few.
Yeah.
And do not put the lavender with the shrooms. Please do not do it. Your ass will go on a trip from hell. Do not do that. Do not do that. I have not had shrooms in a long time, so someone told me they did that. They went to a trip to hell. That's what I was told. It was a trip to hell. They said, how you thing burning the fuck up around you.
No. I've never smoked mushrooms. I've eaten them. And it's been a good experience. I'm hoping that that's something that I can experience again, especially now because I got my own little patio and like it'll just be me and you know my phone and my weed and just hang out, you know. But
Yeah.
no, man. It's the mind is some things. I'm sure those kids, they're probably adults now, and I wonder if they still tell the stories about how they got high off of your catnip. So, okay. I only looked in the mirror once or twice because
I was the goofy one. I do mirror magic, so
yeah, no.
Look.
No. I astral project if I am, you know, that's what I do. Like if I go into it, I'll astral project and my ass will be going to all kinds of different places. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go visit this person. Oh, I'm gonna go visit. Hey, I'm gonna go over here. Yeah, no. I'll go. But no, I don't like to get too like ritual or like I just like to trip for the sake of tripping, to be quite honest. You know, I do. I'll be honest.
But me, I get high off the weed because I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, dude, I totally smoke cannabis because it gets me stoned. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, does it help with my MS? For sure. Does it help keep a mind calm? For sure. But it's mainly because I like it. I'm just gonna tell you.
Exactly. Like, you know, does it help with my anxiety? Yes. Does it help with my appetite? Yes. But do I smoke it because I also want to get stoned?
See, that's where I'm the opposite of my appetite goes to hell. It don't get me. It made me cook up everything, but I won't be hungry for shit till the next day. I will cook up some shit. You can say you want this or that. I go cook it for you, then I go to bed. Right after I cook, all the food's cooked and laid out, I'm asleep. I am probably the worst one to smoke weed with, especially if your ass get the munchies. Because I am not the one eating. It takes like a couple of days for it to kick in, and then all of a sudden I got this appetite from hell.
You have retroactive munchies.
And you be like, what the fuck? Where are you getting this appetite from? I'm hungry now. That's all I can say. I'm hungry now. And pray, because I'll eat all day. Oh, I'm scared of shrooms. I haven't did them in a long time, but yeah, they were fun.
No, I was convinced. Yeah, I was convinced that I knew the secrets. Like, I knew the secret. I did. I told my ex-husband that. I said, man, I know the secrets to everything. And he was like, do you? And I was like, yes. And he was like, what is it? And I said, you just got to know.
See, that was the shrooms talking right there. That was the shrooms right there.
Yeah.
I reduced to eat after I smoke. As soon as I eat, I lose the high. No shit. High just gone. Right after you eat, it's like it's skeeted or something. It's right about you. It do be that. Altered states are yeah. But I got to give me some more shrooms. I haven't did any in a long time. It's been a minute.
Yeah, on one of the experiences that I had, my ex-husband and I, we put on the movie, so not The Hobbit, not the live action version of The Hobbit, but there was an animated version that was made in the 80s. We put that on, and the part where it got to the Gollum was in the movie, but then he turned and started talking to me. And essentially like told me that I was him and he was me. And then the next thing I know, I was on the ground and I was crawling all around. And I told my ex-husband, I was like, I'm the golem. And he was
Oh,
like, oh my
hell
God,
no.
you are. Yes, you are. And so from that moment on, I have had such a kinship with that character. I love that character. I adore that character. But I really did. I turned into the fucking golem. Straight up.
See, the
Straight up.
shrooms. Look, I can't say nothing, but yeah, you got fucked up by a
Yep.
golem.
Nope.
At least you got
And
a
my
golem.
altar was my precious. Because I had just gone into paganism. And I remember I crawled over to my altar and I was like, my precious. And he was like, I'm your precious. And I was like, no, you're not.
Now I got a question. Have you ever sat in front of your altar with the shrooms and been just
So he actually, anytime that I was on mushrooms, I was with him. And he was like, absolutely not. He would not let me. He would not let me. Probably because that was, of course, it was a control thing. And why would he want me to experience that?
Mm-hmm.
Because God only knows what it could have. I'm going to. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to.
You should do it. You should do it.
I have a plan. Yeah.
It'll blow your
Oh no.
mind.
I have a plan. Oh, I pooped up.
I bet. So you had the good shit. Says, please tell me you didn't walk into a wall.
Man. Things turn, dude.
Tree turned into a dragon?
Yeah. I believe it. I chased around a cat that was in our bedroom that was not there. Was not there. I'm pretty sure that it was either this one or my familiar, because it was a black cat. And I remember I told him, he was like, come in here and hang out with me. And I was like, no, I gotta get the black cat. There's a black cat in here. We can't have cats in the apartment. And he was like, there is no cat in this apartment. But there was. I don't know if it was her or if it was Neffy. Oh, Willow, I am so sorry. I had an experience like that on really strong edibles. And if I did not know what I knew about cannabis, I would have called an ambulance, because I would have thought I was dying. Like straight up would have thought I was dying.
No, let's see, you blessed. The first time that I got high, I spent the rest of that night trying to get past the pole till I finally went to sleep in this lady's yard. It was about 15 or 30 of us were sleeping in this woman's yard. Because we couldn't get past the pole. It was our first time smoking. We couldn't get past the pole for shit. And we went to sleep in the yard. The woman come outside like, the fuck just happened in my yard? Is this a family reunion? We was all like, couldn't get past the pole. We were still fucked up. Because we did the weed with the bananas.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, no, we never made it past the pole. Yeah. We slept in that woman's yard. We spent the night in the yard for, night and a half? So we never got the fuck up.
I've been there.
Put it like this. Most embarrassing moment of my life, where the whole town can see 30 of y'all snoring in her yard and pulling the grass for cover. The first time I had shrooms was worse. I was in Cleveland, Ohio. Let's just say I think that tree hates me to this day. The shit that I did to that tree. Anyway, I think that tree hates me.
Oh no. That's awful.
And this is the fucked up part. The friends that I was with let me. They let me do that shit. I was like, oh, y'all are so fucked up. Because I remember. I just don't remember. I didn't remember how to fucking stop myself. I remember yelling at myself, fucking stop, man. And couldn't stop.
No, man, no. You know, you know, it's so funny because weed is legal here in Nevada now. And for the longest time, it was actually so illegal that it was a felony, like 25 to life felony to get caught with possession here in Nevada.
Damn,
and they legalized it. Yeah. And Texas is just as bad too, right? Texas is bad from what I hear.
We got smoke shops with OG and all that stuff.
Yeah, man, it was 25 to life up until they legalized it 4 years ago. And I remember I walked into the legal dispensary and there was some young ass kid working there. And I was like, listen, I need you to understand something. I've never been in one of these. I've never experienced this. Do you want to know what happens when I buy weed? I call my dealer. I say, hey, can you come by? He says yes. He doesn't have strains. He doesn't have choices. I get what he has, and that's it.
Mm-mm.
And the young girl looked at me and was like, yeah, that's not how it works here. And I'm like, I can tell that. So I'm going to need you to be patient with me because I don't understand any of this. Like sativa, indica, hybrids, what? Just give me some fucking weed, dude. Just give me weed. Yeah, no, it's wild. Wild. I had friends that got caught with weed when they were 15 and they were on probation until they were 21.
Damn. Now, see, down here, it has to be a certain amount of weed that you have. If you have more than a couple of ounces, you go. Now, if you have a blunt, get the nice police officers that I get. May have had a bad day, tell you, go ahead and blow one. Not all of them are the same, trust me.
Right.
Some of them will make you'll spend a night in jail or you get probation for a month or two or something like that. But no, they're not that bad. They're not that
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, it was that bad. It was that bad. The laws here in Nevada were so strict that my parents had a friend who was an adult. She got caught with a half a joint in her car and she got 15 years.
What the?
15
for a half a joint.
Yeah. So it's wild here for me that like I can call a dispensary and have them deliver something to me, because when I grew up here, it was so illegal. Like,
wow.
It's wild, man. I mean, yay that it's not like that anymore. But I guarantee you, to this day, there are probably still people in the Nevada Correctional Facility because of weed. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Even though they've legalized it, I guarantee you there are probably still some people sitting in a Clark County prison serving a life sentence for weed. Guarantee you.
They haven't overturned that to let them be released?
Mm-mm.
See, that's something I would have had to demand right there.
Yeah, it's exactly, Sue. Yes. They're trying to fight it, because now look at how much money is being made off of it. I know Colorado did they did release a bunch of people, and I know California was working on it too, but I don't know, to my knowledge, Nevada did not essentially overturn the convictions, you know.
Nevada
But you
needs to
also have to
overturn.
understand that prisons are for profit now, so it doesn't fit. Yeah, because the more that jail is filled, the more money that these corporations that have paid for the for-profit prisons they make.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, yeah, Ohio hasn't. I don't think Michigan has either, because I know Michigan legalized it recently as well, and I don't think that they have overturned the convictions. It's wild to me, man, that
But it's like, man, I know some
literally
people
there
that's
are
put it.
people still sitting in prison for something that I can literally go to my back patio and do right now.
I know some people are pissed right now.
Mhm. Mhm. You know, well, I mean, let's be real, dude. Weed. So you now have corporations, and these corporations that are now making money, but yet when someone who is distributing it trying to do the same thing, they're now in prison.
Right. It was a problem then.
You
But you
know,
know, that's because no one else was benefiting from it
right,
but the person.
right.
So that was one of the reasons too. I think Virginia is only
That's good. I mean, you know, this goes back to kind of what we were talking about the last time. Mandatory minimum sentencing, Reagan, Clinton, all that bullshit, the war on drugs, you know, caused a good majority of this. A friend of mine sent me a Playboy from the 90s. And on the cover, the article, and I read it, but it said, "How Religion Runs Politics in America." And this Playboy was from 1990. So I read the article because I was like, man, how much foreshadowing is this going to do? Now, here we are over 20 years later. And let me tell you, they talked about how the evangelical movement didn't have the money. So it was slowly irking its way into politics, but they said Reagan brought it in. Yes, the sure as fuck he did. He brought in this evangelical movement into, you know, no, I don't want to, because it wasn't all Reagan, because let's also be real. America was founded on evangelical Christianity, like.
Truth.
So, but it talked about how the evangelical movement in the 90s didn't have the money, that it wasn't part of the affluent elite. Whereas now, what's happened? They have the money. They have the affluence. It's not just the poor that is part of this evangelical movement. And it did do a lot of foreshadowing in the article. Like, I think the last paragraph said, America, to its detriment, will ignore this movement. And whoo, doggy, we sure as fuck did. And here we are now in 2022, getting ready to have all kinds of rights just taken away because it's the will of God.
So they say.
White Jesus has infiltrated the political, well, I mean, he was always there. White Jesus was always there, but you know.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and I'm most likely gonna make the religious community mad. But didn't they notice that Jesus was anorexic? Why that man ain't smart on a cow, a pig, or something? That was the skinniest thing I had ever seen for Emmanuel. That was the skinniest thing that I ever seen in my life. So why? Listen, I don't mean no harm. Film directors, don't do that no more. Don't do that no more. At
Right?
least let the man swallow a cow or something. Feed him.
And do you think maybe we can make him brown? Do you think that? I mean,
Just a
like,
little bit. Just a
you
little bit.
know, just a little. Could his hair maybe be, a little dark,
Yeah.
kind of
Little
curly,
dark.
you know?
Let me go tea, please. We go
Yeah,
tea. Sometimes. Because I'm
maybe
just saying, at least let
maybe
the
he
man
won't
eat.
have blue
God,
eyes.
no, feed him. Feed him,
You
Seymour.
know, I have never, at least, okay. No, I don't want to say never in my life because, I understand that brown people can have blue eyes. Absolutely. However, I feel as if 2,000 years ago, it was even more rare to have someone from the Middle East be blonde haired and blue eyed.
Truth.
Like,
Truth. But let's be
you know
real.
who's blonde haired and blue eyed? Italians.
True.
Northern Italians, not Southern Italians.
Mhm. But let me say it like this. Like you said, if it wasn't for such an artist who wanted fame, maybe Jesus would have had the truth. But again, we're dealing with Jesus. Now down here, I'll tell you your problem. Jesus may have a goatee. Jesus may walk into your store. Just saying. So, I'm just saying, I'm being funny towards the Wonder Brothers, Universal. Can y'all please give this man some food? Stop starving him. I'm just saying. If
He
he's
is very
representing
skinny. You can
straight
see
business,
his ribs, man. You know?
you know what? Willow, I'm gonna do you like nephew. Give me your phone. Give me your device. Really? You said Jesus sounds cool. Jesus love you sound cool until you in prison. Listen, it's not cool when somebody say Jesus loves you and you trying not to drop the soap. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. He hollering, Jesus loves you. Yes, he know. You better watch it. Better watch. And tell him,
Yep.
hey, I ain't gonna say that. We on camera. I ain't gonna say that. I started to say some shit. I ain't gonna say it. Y'all should see the shit that I don't say and I don't post.
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
it's better.
I shared this with you last time, and I will say it on the internet as much as I can. The painting of white Jesus was done by Michelangelo, who was a known homosexual,
Mm-hmm.
and the man who posed to be Jesus was his lover. So he was a Northern Italian twink with blonde hair and blue eyes. That's who Jesus is. A gay
So
man,
now
a
let
gay
me say
Italian
this.
man.
I'm gonna say this, and I don't own all the rights to this music. Part of this is R. Kelly.
Yep.
Down low, they dropping so down. Sorry, had to. I'm
Yes,
just
well,
saying
it was, it was his
let
boyfriend.
me say this for those that are religious. So when it gets to that body of Christ, being the bride of Christ, how do you men feel? Just saying, how do y'all feel about that? Jesus
Let's
seeing you as a
discuss.
woman, saying he gonna marry. Just saying, I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm gonna leave you right there. For some of y'all that
Yeah.
are insecure about
Let's
women
let's
preaching,
also,
about
yeah. let's also discuss that religious scholars also believe that the washing of feet
Exactly.
does not really
Everywhere.
mean the washing of feet. That the washing of feet means
Yeah, they wash the feet. Down low, down low. We'll keep it on a. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Yahshua Mashiach
You
is
do. You
Yahshua
have
Mashiach.
to smile when you light. That's right. When you light that Jesus candle, just know that that is an Italian man that modeled for his boyfriend.
Who did not swallow a cow.
No, no,
But
no.
yeah, Jesus is Jesus. Yahshua is Yahshua.
That's
But
right.
we all know Yahshua swallowed a cow. Since, you know, when I died,
That's right.
you know, he had a stomach, he had some muscle. I'm just saying, don't try dying. That means at least don't try it my way. You'll find out that there's a lot of gods and deities that exist, and it's
Hmm.
not just two. But you will find out. But let me say this: the Yahshua I know swallowed a cow. He ate something. He put some food to his mouth. And he had a nice goatee back. I'm just saying, bro, had a
And the
trimmed up.
Yahshua that I know overturned the tables in the temple and beat the shit out of the
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they cut
And the
out the
one that I
part.
know is petty. The one I know is petty because he compared you to a dish rag,
That's
told
right.
you how filthy you was. The one I know is very
That's right.
petty. So
The
when he
one
put the
I
top of the
know
pole, he's petty.
braided the whip, sat outside and braided the whip, and then went back inside his father's temple, overturned the tables, and fucking scourged. They cut
Mm-hmm.
that part out in the Bible. I remember when I was in Bible study, I was arguing with them, and I said, no, no. He whipped them. He
Yeah,
he
he whipped the
got
hell out of them.
angry,
Yeah, he whipped the
and
hell
they
out
were
of them.
like so offended. They were like, that's never been in the Bible. Yes, it was, bro. Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was.
See, the Jesus that I know, when he got to the Garden of Gethsemane, even he had a problem with his purpose.
Yep.
Let's really. He had to say, "Hold up for a minute. Wait a minute. Let's. Whoa! You asking me to get dragged? You asking me to get dragged before the gods? You asking me to take a ass cold whooping? Okay? You asking me to get my ass beat here? You're asking me to die for these people who don't like me? Listen, I'm sorry, but like the comedian,
You
I
really
got jokes. I'm sure
asking me to
Jesus is
die
saying
for these
right now, bruh.
motherfuckers? And they can't even keep watch, right? Like they're
Mm-hmm.
literally fucking asleep right now. And I'm
Right,
supposed to
right. I'm
die
about to
for
go
them,
get my
dude?
ass whooped. I'm about to get nails put in me. I'm about to die. And you motherfuckers went to sleep.
Yeah, he's sleeping.
See, see, the one I know, he knew what a broken friendship was. The one I heard of, you know, he had some questions. He was a little petty with his questions. Because he would tell you
Sure
when
was.
he got in your house, why the hell you ain't wash my feet? Why the hell you ain't do all that? Now she wiping my feet with her hair and cleaning my feet with her tears. But what was you at? Mm. But see, they don't want to talk about that. You know, that's too much like, right? Like for
No,
instance,
no.
and let's not mention that he talked to the dead. Let's not do that. Then you know,
Yeah.
because people have a fear of
Let's
necromancy.
not
Then
mention that he told Lazarus to get up and get out of the crypt and
uh,
stop fucking around.
but see, then if you say that, then you have to mention that, you know, the Bible's still fighting voodoo. But anyway,
Yeah.
we
Let's not
you know,
mention the fact that he anointed women to be holy and at the same level as the men.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But let's not forget that it was a woman that had to come back and tell them when Jesus died and he was resurrected, that it was a woman that came and told them.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
And nobody wants to have that conversation that it was the women that the angel came to and said,
He's risen.
he's risen. Go on and tell your friends. And then what did men do? Have the audacity, if anything, to be like, why would he, I'm a man.
Right?
Why would he, I'm more.
But let's take it even further. Then when they saw that he was resurrected, they looked at the woman. But no one wants to talk about in the Bible how the woman was the one who got the prosperity. And it actually helped that man get his favor with the Lord. But then nobody wants to talk about Proverbs 8, where that's not Solomon, that's not God. Who is that woman that says she was reared up with him? And then Jeremiah speaks of a goddess of wisdom. But hey, nobody wants to talk about that.
Why would we want to do that?
Gospel of Thomas, that's still a problem, still debated by the Vatican, Because the truth of it is, it's so many things that are crossed in the Bible tell it's not funny.
Yep.
And it's 100%. Translated to English and it lost a lot of its meaning. And especially, let's be honest, with the many translations, the original Hebrew, not the 6 other dialects that came up, but the original Hebrew has the actual recording of necromancy. And let's be honest, that original Hebrew was actually in Africa. Now, you have your Masons that would disagree with that because they wrote one too. But anyway, nobody really want to, because then
nobody wants to talk about that one.
But see, this is what they'll say. You're playing with words. Not playing with words. I'm telling you what really happened. If you knew the translation, you would understand. Because this is why the spirits are revealing what they're revealing.
Yep. Yeah, let's talk about the Council of Nicaea. Right. Let's talk about the Council of Men that sat around and decided what was going to be put in the King James Version of the Bible. Let's talk about the fact that King James was in Shakespearean times.
I'm sorry,
let's talk about thank you. Right? Let's talk about how that happened. Let's talk about how the Council of Nicaea made Martin Luther so mad that he created the branch of Lutheran faith.
But I don't want to talk about that.
No. No.
Listen.
No. Because they do. They needed to know. Right. And King James changed the translation of Leviticus to make sure, because the original translation spoke of pedophilia. A man shall not lie with a child as he does with his wife.
Thank you. It wasn't homosexuality. If you read the original translation, it was saying, don't fuck them little boys, don't fuck them little girls.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Did I say that out loud?
Yep. No. It's, many years ago, many years ago, when I first moved here, actually, so I first moved back here about 12 years ago, and I went on like this pagan website to try to find a new coven, and this group was putting on a winter solstice, and they were having visitors from Italy come out. They were pagans from Italy. And so I went and I met them. They were beautiful, amazing. Oh my God. But the priest, the high priest, he talked about how the Catholic Church, and this was before all the bullshit about the Catholic Church really started to gain traction. He talked about how their main purpose was for pedophilia and for the destruction of ancient religions. And he was, I remember he was talking about all this stuff, and I'm sitting there in this room with these people which is going over their heads. And I was like, oh my God. And now here we are, 10 years after the fact, and everything he said is 100% correct. They purposely mistranslated certain texts to gain control, to demonize and keep their pedophile rings going. And man, it's you know, it's really disheartening, you know?
Oh yeah. But see, when they, just to answer that, when they aimed it toward the community of gays and lesbians and everything, they did that to make it a distraction, to take away from the purpose of what we're really trying to accomplish there.
Yeah.
Because if I can distract you, then you won't pay attention to the truth of what I did. Because if you think about it, then the Vatican still speaks Latin. And they still speak the original Hebrew. They don't want nobody to know. That's how come, like the Bible itself has over 500,000 rituals in it and promises alone that you can perform yourself and that will cause things to happen. But anyway, like the cross, depending on which way you turn that cross is what you'll unlock. But that's another story.
But no one wants to talk about that one either. No one wants to talk about how the inverted cross came from St. Paul because he wanted to be crucified on an inverted cross because he did not believe that he could be crucified in the same way that Jesus was. And so the inverted cross is a symbol of St. Paul. But no, nobody wants to talk about that.
They don't want to,
because what do we know the inverted cross as? A symbol of the devil. Oh, that's Satan. No, it's not. It's one of yours.
Here's one I got for you. Every time they go to get a new priest, if you notice they have a swinging cauldron, but they'll tell you using your cauldron is witchcraft. But it's full of incense and it's swinging in gold.
Oh no. Let's also talk about the fact that they bring in their cross and their book and they go to all cardinal directions. Hail, north, south, east, west, hail.
But they'll tell you it's witchcraft. They'll tell you.
Oh no. My dad's Catholic, and so sometimes I'll go to his church and it's like, y'all are a bunch of pagans.
Yeah, it has more voodoo. It has more mixture of spirituality than they're wanting to give it credit for. Like, for instance, the Garden of Eden, that was a snake. How did it become Lucifer when you're fighting voodoo? I'll leave that for the rabbit hole. How? Somebody got to tell me how Lucifer got in the Garden of Eden and it was a snake. Truth, family. The black sheep always knows. Truth.
One could argue that snake is a little term for washing the feet.
You ain't gonna do right. See, that's one. That's one. That's one. Because you got to remember, even then they were trying to hide their sexuality within. Because let's just speed up that process of that. If you go back, remember when God talked to Mary. For those who are finna yell blasphemy, I want you to pay attention to the scriptures before you yell. because it said that God, when she agreed, that God overpowered her and the Holy Ghost overtook her. So here's a question for the gutter minds. Was that a threesome or no, because a human son was birthed? Shoot me tomorrow if you want. Don't shoot me
And
today.
I mean,
Let me at least
to
drink my
take it even
wine
more
before you.
blasphemous, was there consent?
Yeah, because she agreed. She said that she would do it. And let me say this for all the stepdads and for all the dads who don't want to be fathers. See, Joseph had to raise a son that wasn't his.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna leave it alone. Because I know it's some Christians watching the little womb die.
Let them marinate. Just
But
let it marinate.
I'm gonna ask you this. So if that is so, why haven't no one ever took a deeper meaning and a look at the Bible and really truly sat down and asked God? I mean, he does exist. He got a couple of names, I'm just saying, but he does
Mm-hmm.
exist.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing for y'all that are Christian, Israel has the Kabbalah. If you're going to be Hebrew, then follow the Hebrew all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's right. Because they studied the Kabbalah, why won't you use the sigils or that's there for Elohim, El Shalom? I'm not Christian either, but I'm just curious and see if they really knew where the word Christian came from. Maybe they'll find out that's a bit Hindu, don't you think? Little Buddhist
Mm-hmm.
saint. And some of those in practice with the incense, little indigenous. But I'll let you have it. He was a Jew. Right. He didn't create religion, but if you notice, a lot of these people force their beliefs. But when you
Right.
truly think of what he was trying to do, he came to fulfill what the prophet said. He did not
Mm-hmm.
come to break, but neither did he come to fulfill what the Sadducees said. Because he was intended to break down a religious structure that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to work.
Yep.
You see, that was the defiance part of
Mm-hmm.
letting
Mm-hmm.
them know that the way that they're going was the wrong way. And then too, they refused the magic because he gave a coin to a fish before taking 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread and feeding more than 5,000 in men besides the women and children. So they ain't gonna talk about that either. They ain't
Yep.
gonna talk about him speaking to the dead. They ain't want to talk about him being able to say Summa Kumai and the damsel got up. They didn't want to talk about him performing the certain miracles that he did. But no one wants to acknowledge the magic in that either. Because they want everybody to stay asleep, not awake.
Yep.
But like I said,
Yep.
I'm gonna leave them alone. It's just that I got a few questions. No one answered my question either about that damn fish. So let me answer the question. The reason why you have to render, because they are gods of that water. The question is, you need to find out who the fish of the sea belong to, because there's a particular god, goddess, or gods or goddesses that particular fish belong to. That is why you pay respects before partaking of something.
Mm. Mm.
I'll leave it there. Since as Jesus put it, render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and render to God what belongs to God.
See, my dad, when he leaves the church, there's little vessels of holy water on your way out. And my dad does the holy water as he enters and as he leaves. So he does do that. But I have seen other people not do that, and I don't understand that myself either. Because
Okay.
it's like, dude, do it on the way out.
Purify before going in, so you
Mhm.
can truly purify when you're going out, so
Yep.
you remain clean.
Yep.
Because sometimes when you go in, if you don't purify yourself, sometimes your vision will be blocked. But if you purify before going in, no one can block you from the truth if you set your intent.
Mhm.
See, holy water was a good way to see holy. I mean,
Mhm.
does water have itself? Water itself scientifically has a memory. So what
Mm.
did the water record of the truth? And what did the man or the people say was the truth? See, the water records differently. See, the water say, I heard what you said, and I heard how it went, and I heard how it goes. I've been here longer than you. See, let's be honest, we as a human race, the water was here before us. So what is it that the water remembers? What is it that the dirt remembers? So I can't blame him. I would have did the same thing, put my hand in water so I could really see what you're not telling me. And then on the way out,
Mm.
would do it again so I can continue to see what you not telling me. But then again, I only went to one service, and was like, I've seen enough. Oh, I believe it. I believe it
Mhm.
because I did too. My only problem is in the Catholic Church, I got tired of exercising. I got tired of standing up, sitting down, over here, singing this
You
song,
do a lot of that,
here.
man.
Yeah, I got tired of the exercise. But yeah, definitely. But I'm gonna let it go.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Yep.
let it go. But I will say this, if nothing else, do check on your kids, hug your kids a little
Please.
tighter than usual. Um,
Please.
do do
Please.
do
And
clean
trust
out.
yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You
and clean
know?
out. It's okay. Clean it out. Clean it out.
Yep.
But I'm gonna leave you with the last words, cause like the good preacher, that was my first close. I'm gonna leave you with the last words.
Well, I'm going to say, please wake up. Please wake up. We need as many people to be on the same page because we're not
Mm-hmm.
on the same page right now. We're suffering. Our suffering is only going to get worse. We
Mm-hmm.
can't do this anymore. We can't. We can't.
True.
And it's not, yes, race is an issue. It's undeniable. It's
Mm-hmm.
undeniable that race is an issue. It's undeniable that we are in a white supremacist culture and
Mm-hmm.
we're in a evangelical crazy ass Christian culture.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, as Willow said, we can all have different beliefs, but unity can still happen.
Yeah,
We have to
do.
make that conscious and unconscious decision to have that unity, realize that the only savior we have is ourselves and each other.
Mm-hmm.
And my DMs are always open if anybody has any questions.
Same here, but do me a favor. Let's stop pissing Mother Earth off.
Please,
Let's stop.
yeah. Can we hug our mother, love our mother, and, maybe not kill her and each other in the process? Like, can we stop maybe doing that just for a little bit? I don't know.
Just
Have we tried it? Have we tried not killing the earth and each other? Have we tried that?
yeah. Let's try that. Let's
Yes.
try putting aside our differences and standing together.
Yep.
Because standing apart,
And
you see what
100%.
everybody like the military.
Division is what they want. So let's do the
True.
opposite.
Like the military. We can fight at home, but how about we stand
Yep.
together so we can
Yep.
get things done? We can
Yes.
fight who's the best.
Let's stand
later on.
together. Yes, exactly. Let's stand together to get the shit done. And then
Mhm.
we can work on the rest of it.
Right.
And unity is possible. And if you're struggling at all, I love you. You, as Auntie Aoife says, you are so necessary and needed in this world.
True.
And I love
True.
you.
And another thing that she always says, if you can't help them, don't hurt them.
There you go. There you go. And I'm sure we'll do this again sometime soon because I had fun. And thank you to everybody that joined and participated. I had a really good conversation. Feel free to add me on Facebook. I love you all so much. Good night.
Peace. We love y'all. Thank you.